Good morning, traders. Welcome back to Trade the Pool. And are you guys ready to make some money? I know I'm excited for a brand new week. And wouldn't we have it? Another quick turnaround battle of what's going on right now between the US and China as tensions reignite, of course. We were hearing that they were talking about deals. There was really never a deal in the works. They just put on a pause for the extreme tariffs, kind of a descaling event. Yeah, de escalation, right? But at this point, now we got to look to see what happens with that, right? Is this going to get harder first before it gets better, right? And I think that that's what we need to be on the lookout for. We'll see what happens here. Let's see. Let's take a look at what's going on in the market. We'll get to, of course, the playbook, and we'll talk about what's going on in steel and why steel stocks are up. I got a lot to take a look at today, so let's get right to it. Let's first take a look at what's going on in the market right now. As we'll take a look at the SPY here. And then, like always, guys, we'll take a look to see where we're developing to, right? Are we looking like we're going to make a break to the upside? Are we going to all-time highs? Things to be asking ourselves, right? So the way that I view the market right now is that we have a short-term kind of trend line here that's kind of building, right? We can take a look to see if we make a move back up into that spot. But for right now, I'm really looking at this kind of 590s acting as resistance. We're trying to break down through this line. You see this white line here that I've drawn, kind of a trend line, right? We're trying to kind of hold that right now and recover it. A move back above that could hold this V recovery. If not, we could be coming back down. And that's what it seems like to me, and maybe an attempt to fill this gap, of course, from the 12th. So I'll be looking to see if we can get back into that spot. That's going to be a buy zone for me. Once we get back there, as long as there's no uncertainty, I'll be back into kind of more of the bullish camp. But for right now, this is the area that I could see us kind of going to. I'm going to shade it in an orange to see if we go and filling in that spot this week. So we'll see what happens, guys. I'll actually draw this out a couple more days to see if we get there for this week. We'll wait and find out. In the SPY, do we pull back into that orange, or do we go for the green line? Guys, the green line is a trend line drawn from that big, of course, kind of bull market that we had here, and then we've recovered it. Are we going into another bull market? That to me is a sign where we're really starting to push back 600s and above. We start going back to all-time highs. That's going to be an interesting perspective. Now, one thing that you do see here is what? A MACD cross back to the downside, and we haven't had a cross at the downside since, of course, the real takedown right before the turnaround. And then before that, we had it at the top, right? And then before that one, we had it at another topping sign. So I think in this case, we got to be careful for stocks to start coming down and pulling back. So I'll be on alert. I have different types of plays on the playbook. We'll talk about it. There's some longs, there's some short mentality. And I think right now you got to be thinking both ways, right? We could have to flip to more of a short side outlook, but I'm still staying in the bull camp until it shows me. That doesn't mean that we can't make money on the downside. Was able to make some really good money on Friday, continuing the account moving forward. It's been a great bounce back. The last couple of weeks was actually a little bit in the rut on this account, now deep into the green again. And that's what it's all about. Sometimes you got to catch yourself when you're in a rut. Getting back to the green is what's important. What has helped me? Well, just continuing to battle and stick with the risk to return. And like last week, I think I had about 2 or 3 days where I started the day red, but actually built back green. And on Friday, actually going back really green. And so things like this are the types of ways that you can really make moves. And how did I make the money? Well, I was long on the SQQQ on Friday. Going to take a look to see if maybe I take a little SQQQ today. But let's get to the playbook and take a look at different stocks and trade ideas out in the market today. All right, traders, first up, we're going to take a look at is, I've been thinking about what can really kind of get the move here. Well, there's two ways of looking at it, right? There's a couple of names that have potential. Right now, of course, recently we had the nuclear play, right? And you guys know I've been all up on this trade. And now that this is starting to come back down, I think this is one that we look at to see if we get a next trend. So, of course, this stock made a big breakout and has pulled back. Now it's come back and kind of filled in some of this gap area. We could come in completely fill the gap today, but what I'm looking for is, do we hold into this area and start to actually make a move back above the 9, going for the break right back towards this trend line? And so this trend line is the real look that I'm looking for, a bigger breakdown, a bigger breakout. So at this point, as long as it can hold above this line, we're looking good here. So I'm going to draw that as a green line. I'm going to actually turn this back here. This was the breakout line that we first went after, right? This was a huge breakout above that 27. Now that we've held that, I don't think it's going to come back to that level. I'd actually be looking for this resistance to kind of hold here. And that's exactly where the gap is. So areas like that really seem to make sense to me. That's closer towards the 28.95. So pretty much you could put it at 29. Well, look, it's 29, act as support out the gates. And do we get a move right back up? So maybe we get that undercut towards the support and then a recovery all day long. We'll have to just wait to see what happens with the market. But this is a good one to watch for. A green close and for a potential swing trade. Yes, you heard that right, guys. As you guys see at the top here, new swing trades have, new programs have dropped. And with that mention, I am open, and I opened a new one of these on the flex side, guys. So I have an unlimited amount of time, and throughout the time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep pushing and looking to go ahead and trade some swings. So nano nuclear, definitely on the radar. All right, guys, let's keep it going. Let's go to the next one here. We'll take a look at some more bullishness in him. And I'm seeing momentum name, right? Palantir breaking to the upside, up there to 131. So I like him also. I think this is in a similar pattern. It actually dropped before Palantir and has been going sideways on the 9. Now we got a nice bullish engulfing candle here from Friday's action. So I'd look for this candle right here around the 55 to hold. And look to see if it makes the break to the upside. I think at this point, we've had a couple of drives, up 1, down 1, up 2, down 2, up 3. Maybe get a little bit of a pullback again and then a lift off around the 56 level. It seems like a good support, but next layer would be that 55. We'll see if him can break out today and continue ripping towards the upside. As you can see, it's already breaking the trend line right now. And if you take a look at the daily looks good for a move back to 60. We'll have to wait and find out what happens here in HIMS. And if you're looking for a speculative play in the drone space because of what happened in Russia throughout the weekend, well, ARCAT is definitely one of those names that's on the radar. A lot of traders are watching this name. So I think this is definitely more of a stock that I need to show me the move first. But if it gets above 7, it starts to break resistance and it looks a lot better. So I'll set an alert there through that 7, and we'll be watching to see what happens here in ARCAT Holdings, of course, a drone maker. All right, we'll take a look at different stock trades, of course, and then with the market volatility, we'll see what happens with the SQQQ. This was a way that I played it on Friday. Of course, this had eventually got a nice pop. I sold into that pop and then kept a little runner. It didn't just keep running. It did stop me out on the rest of that, which was at 24. I could have, taken the profits, right, and added a little bit more on the day. But I was looking for us to get back up to this spot today. We'll see what happens. We're not even getting that move this morning. We did get a little bit of a gap move, but are we going to go back towards the 2450s? I'll draw that box here to show us it when we come to it during the intraday. And if we come to it, right? I do say that we are on the pullback, but how much of a pullback are we going to have? And are we going to have a green to red move? That's what I think could happen this morning, because we already had a dip overnight and now we could be bouncing back. So I think at the end of the day, you're still in the bullish camp. You're still looking around, and we got to continue to watch to see what happens. All right, let's get to the sunrise report where we can talk about what stocks are moving and why. Like always out there, traders, if you guys got a stock you guys want to talk about, let's get to that action and let's get to this morning's sunrise report. All right, traders. Sunrise Report doesn't have too much on here, guys, as we'll be talking about more stock specific as we get towards the open, see if we get any news because of that. But right now, we're kind of pretty much just stuck watching the overall market. And I think that that's the important thing to look at here. We'll talk a little bit about some stock specific names, but let's get into here with the overall market down here a little bit on the futures. S&P 500, we're down about 0.4%. NASDAQ 100 down about 0.6, the Dow about 143 points down. And it's all about China versus US, as I mentioned in the title and in the thumbnail. You guys can see it. The battle of China versus US, as Beijing fires back as the US claims of violating the trade deal. Says that America failed to hold up its end and signs of talks are unraveling. Definitely something to look at. And then Trump stepping in there and then kind of double downing and going into the EU. But let's take a look how this is affecting China this morning. You can see the FXI getting a little bit of a bounce back. So actually going more into the green here, but we'll see what happens. There's been a couple of moves trying to get back up there. It seems like we can't hold, but I say we continue to watch this weekly. You break out back above 37 and you got a bigger move in FXI coming your way. We'll see what happens in the U.S., of course, as the stocks are pulling back this morning, and to see if there's any more battle between Trump and China. All right, Trump double downing on steel tariffs. Let's take a look at the biggest mover this morning in steel. That's Cleveland-Cliffs, but you can take a look at the bigger names like Nucor, right, and Steel Dynamics. These are starting to get going with this move. I'd keep an eye out on this. Let's see if X really wants to give it to you. Look at the liftoff we've been getting recently in X. I think this tells us that we continue to watch this, looking for a bigger move. I was watching for a trend break here, and it broke, man. It was a really nice one. This one created it on December 4th, and that's continued to break on the upside now. We'll look for steel to continue getting the lift today. Steel Dynamics is the one that I'd like to play, guys. So this is on the pullback. We'll look to see if it's more of that taco trade, or is it not? Maybe this isn't Trump just doing another taco trade. Of course, the taco trade, we'll talk a little bit more about it, is that it's just the conversation that's out there right now. I mean, it's pretty much saying that Trump is weak on his stance, right? And so we'll talk a little bit more about it with Michael Noss. I think he'll have a good joke on that or two. We'll take a look there at Steel Dynamics to see if we can get back above the 140 today. That could be the signs for this to continue the strength and get back up there to the 145. Cleveland-Cliffs, another one to kind of keep an eye out for. I would watch this one too. This one's kind of a high flyer, more of that momentum. We'll see if it can continue the run. I'd like to see a dip towards 7, get bought, and a rip towards 8. We'll see what happens there in Cleveland-Cliffs. Definitely on the radar today. All right, you guys out there, smash the like. We'll keep it going. We'll get out of the Sunrise Report. We're just going to go right into some stock trade ideas. We'll get towards my watch list. We'll take a look at some of the hot stocks in the market. And if you guys have a hot stock, make sure you throw it up right now in the chat. I'll be looking for some names. Like always, guys, you guys smash the like. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving out there, guys. And let's see what else we got for you guys this morning. All right, let's keep going. And I think there's a way of actually adding the chat to the stream, stuff like that. Get ready, guys. We're going to be adding some new things here coming soon, guys. I'm excited. All right, let's take a look here. What else is being talked about in the chat? Let's catch some of those stocks there. Billy, what's going on, man? Trump. Let me make this a little bit bigger. I can't even read right now. All right, there you go. That's going to help me a little bit. All right, Trump. Seeks to roll back Biden-era restriction on arc oil drilling. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. We'll see what happens. I mean, oil to drill right now, I think is you're already seeing OPEC kind of increase drilling. So prices actually got a spike though, as people were expecting a little bit more. XOM getting a lift off right there. So we'll see what happens there. Keep an eye out there. Lots of news in the market. Good morning, Shane. It's good to see you guys all out there. And if you guys are watching a stock, make them come. Keep them coming in the chat. We'll take a look at some of these AIC earnings pre-market soon. We'll take a look at how that comes out. Looks like APLD, 7 billion core weave lease. Yes, APLD. Nice mention there, guys. This thing is getting the pop already, and it's getting the hottest stock in the market right now, at least I would say, which is CoreWeave partnership there. That is a really good mention, man. Good one here. Let's take a look at the chart. I'll show you guys it right here. Look at that move. Looks great right now, guys. So we'll see what happens with this. APLD, not a bad one there. Hey, can this keep going, guys? CoreWeave has been really hot. I think this is one definitely to watch for. Look at the daily chart. Daily chart breaking that 750. This just looks really constructive on the daily, right? So this is one that I might actually take a look at. A swing trade alert as this thing broke this and could keep going. I would love to get anywhere near where I can risk off below this 7 towards the 660s, 650 area. If I could get this back to 750s or 770s, I would love this name. Let me know if it comes. I'll tell you how I'll let you know. I'll set the alert, and we'll be looking for a little swing trade on APLD. Not a bad little breakout there. And there's a lot of trend names that we got to keep a watch out here to see if we get moves like this. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some of that watch list that I talked about, and Steph mentioning some names this morning. We can get into some of those small names. Let's just take a quick little peek how these are doing. WTO, was that the name? Yeah, there it is. You saw that quick spike towards what, above 645? Whoa. That thing spiked to the moon. It's right back down now. I'd have to let this start to get back to the VWAP to even get me excited, but it could pop here. We'll see what happens. WETO, definitely a big spike. Now trying to turn things around. Let's see if it can actually do something here. And that's INM, $6 stock. Yeah, pulling back. This one actually looks more constructive than the other one. Why? Because of the 15-minute pattern is going to be looking really well. So back on the 90 EMA, a hammer candle there. You just need to get a bullish engulfing candle above the $6 here. So on this next 15 minutes, so you got about 5 minutes left on this candle. If it can close above this in the next 5 minutes, so close above 6 in the next 5 minutes, this is going to be looking good for a potential breakout back towards the highs. We'll see what happens on INM. And I could keep an eye out on this one. Let's see if we can set an alert here to see if we can catch it back through 620s, let's say. All right, this one could get hot in the next 5 minutes. We'll be watching that INM. Thank you, Steph, for bringing in some of those names. All right, let's get to some of that watch list and keep the stocks going in the chat. We can definitely get to some of those names in the chat coming up. All right, let's go towards it here. I'm doing it 5-day price trend, find the market. So the hottest stocks in the market. How are they doing? Let's take a look at some daily charts. And SMR pulling back 3 days, now still looking like it could go to the 90 EMA. This is one that I'd be looking for a move back into this support. If it can get into that area, this looks great. That could be a move back to, let's say, $30 or slightly below on SMR. We'll keep it going. We'll take a look at some other ones. SMR. Let's get to AEVA, one of the hottest auto part names out there. And this name doesn't want to go away. Once it starts to break the 9, I might short this again. I made some good money shorting this last week, even though it went up, right? That's interesting there. But just tells me that I got to be careful with this one. Stay away until it really starts to break, and then we can take a look. Tesla continuing the strength, but pulling back towards the end of last week. Let's see if it can recover the 90 EMA and get to 350. I think this one has the date with 400 coming up soon. The question is how soon, and we'll be looking at it. CEG, of course, going and moving with the nuclear stocks. The biggest stock on my radar today is NNE, but CEG just right there and looking for it to keep going. AUR on the watch out there. We'll see what happens on this. Not looking too good on this one, guys. So this one doesn't look as hot on the chart. CrowdStrike and the Zscaler and names like that. I talked about how Zscaler kept holding this trend breakout. And I think that we're just starting to see the strength in the cybersecurity names. I've mentioned this plenty of times, guys, that there's some bigger names watching these. And when the bigger names watch these, I like to look at them and watch to see how constructive they are. And they're showing that move, right? PanW, I talked about how this one wanted 200. It had an earnings report that really wasn't bad. I talked about how that earnings report could fill the gap. And what happened on Friday? Exactly that, right? We've gotten that gap filled now. looking really pretty, guys, right back up there. And now I don't think it stops. I think it might want to just chug along straight towards that 200. So keep your eyes on the cybersecurity names as some of the top named stocks that I'm watching out there. Snow, of course, was one of those stocks I watched before the earnings, and look how that stock's continued at that top end of the range, looking like it wants to break. We'll see if it gets a 200 move today. Slight undercut on the 200 would be nice. And then a close back towards, let's say, 207 or 210 to really start looking for the next wave. We'll see what happens on these. And definitely some names you got to keep an eye out for. All right, guys, we'll get to the show in just a second. We got CrowdStrike Bros getting a nice little push right back. And I love me some Dutch Bros. I don't get Dutch Bros here in Florida. Unfortunately, it needs to make its way over here. But doesn't this look like a huge cup and handle pattern, guys? And isn't it funny that Dutch Bros, the coffee company, would give you a cup and handle pattern? Haha, pun intended. Definitely going to be talking about this one, as there's definitely a what I call a cult-like following for Dutch Bros. So keep your eyes on Dutch Bros. Pretty indeed. Where's the coffee? Someone give it to me. I don't know. I need some more coffee out here. Let's go. All right. MOS has been a name that we've been talking about. It's all about Canada, and it's going to continue being about Canada here. And this name just doesn't want to stop. And when names don't want to stop, you might want to partake in the rally. I'll tell you that much, at least. AMD is one that I'll be watching. CF still continuing to trade there. GSRT, the nuclear name that is a SPAC, continuing to hold here, guys. So I'll be watching to see if this thing could break out above 11s. That's definitely an alert there. I've been trying to trade this, and I have traded it in the 1050s, looking for a bigger move. It hasn't done it. We'll see what happens. ARM turned around significantly towards the end of last week, showing me the semiconductor weakness that all of a sudden came in really quickly. KLAC, we'll see if this name can just hold on to the breakout. This name's going sideways there. I think it might make an attempt towards this trend line and then start going higher. So be careful for a little bit more pullback there. Ethereum pulling back a little bit further, now down towards the 60s. And we know how Bitcoin goes. So has the market lately. So we'll see if Bitcoin and Ethereum start leading the downside action and continuing to lead the downside action overnight. Archer pulled back, QUBT, big pullback towards the end of the week as we really start to see these quantum names took a big beating towards the end. Now QBTS sits right there on the 90 EMA. Will they recover it back towards the 18? This is where you got to really watch the market, right? Because I think at the end of the day, these are kind of more of where you're finding your bubbles and your hype names like Quantum. So doesn't mean this has to go away right now. So keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. Rigetti could be a good sign because it's right back down to 12. It's got there to 15. It's dropped 18, 20%. Will it just get bought right back here? Something to watch there for. All right, we talked about so many of these names. I'm going to try to keep going through them to see if there's anything else that stands out to me. MSTR looks like it's trying to turn around a little bit, but look how quickly CleanSpark fell off the tape there. Pony's been hot and doesn't want to stop, so I'm not going to get in front of Pony right now. Tempest did pull back, so this is one that we could maybe look for some strength to come back in. But it just seems like healthcare is so hated right now. Might not be the area to watch. But there is Grail, Garl, that I want to keep on the radar here. I don't know why it's not on the watch list there, but I'm going to make sure it's there. And I'm watching this one because some bigger traders are also watching this pattern, waiting for it to break out above the 45. So I'll keep an eye out on that one in healthcare. That's going to do it for me, guys. I'm sorry I haven't been showing the charts. I've been losing my mind here, but let me just run through some of these that I think are very important. Grail, definitely one to watch. Pony's been hot like ever. So keep your eyes on that. HIMS is one definitely to watch out there. GSRT is that nuclear name to keep an eye out for. ARMS on that really quick decline, really showing that weakness. Zscaler and those cybersecurity names, some of the hottest names in the market. NNE, one of my top watches right now that I'll be looking for. AMD, can it get hot? Man, I thought this was really a bull flag that could hold. Doesn't look like it's holding right now. We'll keep an eye out on that. And then, of course, Grail is that last one that I watched there with Tempest in healthcare. But they're just it just seems like healthcare is so out of favor right now. And I don't think it's going to turn around anytime soon. But that's going to do it for that outlook, at least. Let's get towards the show. Let's kick things off for real. Let's bring on Michael Noss. Let's get towards the trading action. I just got an alert out there. That's INM. So I'll be watching to see if maybe I trade that. Let's kick it off. Start that countdown. It's time to go trade the pool. Hugo wants 200, baby. You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at. What up? What up?
What's going on, buddy?
Welcome back. Welcome back to another day.
Is it just me, or do you miss like the craziness a little bit? Like everything's just so chill. Like, the market's down like 0.2%. I'm like, man, you used to wake up on Sunday just a little bit ago, and the market was down like 5% and threatening like, stop out. And now it's like, yeah, it's flat. It's in a range, in yesterday's range. It's boring. It's just,
boring, man. Just wake up. Well, he has been saying something. It's just this whole new thing, right? This whole new concept of, taco. The taco trade, man. Have you heard about the taco trade?
Yeah, and I like it. It shows, again, we talked about this really early. I think we should get a little pat on the back for that.
That's the thing, though, right? It's just like, unfortunately, we don't work for the Financial Times. So.
I know they're out there freaking out, and we're saying, listen, just look at the bond market. Every time the bond market gets to a certain price, he backs off.
Yeah, he gets scared. We said it, right? I mean, he definitely backed out, and we said that this is just the way that Trump works, right? This is the art of his deal, right? Which is strong arm first, back off after. Right? Like literally push as far to the opposite side as you can. And when you think about it, this is not the only people that do this. Like the Fed does this the same way. The Fed goes really extreme one direction really quickly. And I think that the big part of that is what's going to happen further down the line. And did we see a trip or maybe a ego push there in Trump as he starts to mention, well, I'm fighting China. And guys, just to put perspective here, and I'm in a good trade right now, guys. So you know how it is right now. I got to make money here, guys. So let's go ahead. Let's sell some here, guys. Look at this one. I just talked about this one. I'm sorry that I wasn't really kind of bringing the trade up there. It's just more along, was talking about the markets here, but INM, I talked about it. It had a really nice setup there. I grabbed it there. It's up to 675 now, guys. I might just sell this here. I'm trying to get it to 7. I sold some already, guys. Took a nice $41 there. Had 200 shares there. Grabbed this from 617. Let's see if this can really take off here in the morning. Small cap of the day. Let's go. Let's go. Big part of this, I talked about it, the 15-minute reversal back up. If it can close above this candle to the left, it's going to be looking really good above the 650s. Let's see if we can get a trend line breakout and then just keep this going through 7. But it's coming right back towards my entry. I might get it out right here, but I'm going to try to see if it can get to 7. We'll see what happens on INM. But coming back to the taco trade, right? It's pretty much him just washing out. But he did get tough on China again, saying that he's going to get tough on them regardless. I think this has a lot to do with all that conversation. Don't you think?
That's what I was going to. I did a tweet that I can't find. I was trying to find, but people like just like, listen, do you want a trade war? Because, talking this kind of smack to a guy who's obviously, very touchy about his own feelings. That's just how you get a trade war. So just leave the guy alone. Just be happy that the market's up on the year and be done with it. Because
now he has to fight his ego, right? He has to essentially fight his own ego. He either needs to just bite it and keep doing the way he's been doing things, or finally actually get tough. And I don't think the markets will like that if he starts to actually get tough on these tariffs.
No, I don't think he will either. I think it's going to be one of the, and again, we said this from the beginning. He'll grab a win, some small win that he can take back to his base, his followers, and say, "Look, we got this win." There's now 10% tariffs always on China, and there was 0 before, and then overinflate the amount of money that they're going to make from it, and then move on. And I think that's what everyone is kind of expecting now, and that's the fact that the market doesn't care anymore. The market's kind of, again, we always got to remember the market's a forward-looking mechanism. It doesn't care about what the news is today. Everyone knows what the news is today. As soon as it's out, it's priced in the market. The market's trying to anticipate the news 3-6 months from now, and it's basically saying 6 months from now, this will all be behind us. We'll have some sort of tariff, I'm sure, but we'll figure it out, and we'll figure out a way around it, and that's all we need to do. So that's kind of what the market's looking at, and that's my bet as well. And I think that's right. That's not a bold bet. I think that's everyone's bet, is that eventually this all goes away. But yeah, I wouldn't be out there poking the bear if I had a loud voice saying talk about this and talk about that, right?
It's poking the bear for sure. And there's one way that this market really gets hit, and we've been getting the hints countlessly that the technology stocks are really, really on edge about this whole China situation. NVIDIA is literally telling you, like, these chip exports, these restrictions are really going to affect us, to the point that NVIDIA even mentioned last week, yeah, we're coming to the US. There's a reason why. There's a reason why, right? Like I think NVIDIA is starting to realize if we don't start these plans now, it might be too late by the time we want to actually start them, right? And
part of it too, right, is it's kissing the ring. A large part of it is just saying, 100%. Okay, if we do a big public announcement, we say, yeah, we are 100% on board to build things. They're trying to give, there's a whole like art of war kind of thing about
Apple.
give them a golden bridge in which to retreat. And I think that's what a lot of these companies are doing, is saying, if Apple can spend a couple $2 billion and build some sort of factory in the US, he will take that as a win and move on from there. And, it may only be a small part of what gets built. It could only be a few percentage of, part of what the computers get built in, but that'll be enough that, right, you can hang your hat on that and say that's a win, and then move on. And, I think that's what everyone's kind of looking for, is saying, okay, what victory can we give? And then kind of depending on how you look at it, then he's kind of completed his mission, right? He's gotten more than the last administration did. Even if he promised the moon and you only get to your neighbor's house, you still got in your neighbor's house, right? So that's the way I think the out's going to happen. That's the way the market's going to go in. And then I think what's going to happen is, like we talked about, how there's probably never going to be a recession ever again, because we get all these rolling recessions now, right? We have, this sector and that sector and all of that. I think it's going to be the same with these tariffs. And I think one of the perfect examples is this, like, CLF, these big rips. And just, by the way, I'm short CLF right here. The robot got in. But these individual areas that are going to have tariffs, I think, and a lot of people out there, a lot of the traders and hedge fund guys I was talking to, they think that's how this is going to end up, is that, you put a wide blanket on everything, and then you actually zoom into the areas that are important to you. Like, I didn't know this, but they said Biden, the last guy from the completely different party that they hate each other, also was rolling back China's ability to buy chips made from US companies. So, if that's something that they both agree on, then that's something that they can kind of get on board on. So maybe the chips are tariffs forever, and maybe steel, because we all know Trump is really, really obsessed with steel. Maybe steel gets a tariff forever, and automotives and things like this. So there's pockets where there are tariffs, and then there's pockets where there aren't. So that, you're not, because I don't think he wants to bring back, clothing manufacturing to the US, but if he brings back steel plants and semiconductors and all of those things, I think that will be a win. So that's something that I'm looking at as well. And we're getting this rip that happened after hours in CLF. And, like, look at this daily chart. This thing has just been destroyed for a very long time as a large company to go from $30 to $7, and then getting a little bit of an uptick off of news like that. That's going to make some people happy. So these are the little victories I think that he's gonna come up with. And again, the reason that I'm short, right, is just it's the same VWAP to VWAP trade. So I've actually got a pretty close eye on it. If we can't break this pre-market low pretty quickly, I'll probably bail out if we get back up through VWAP. But this is just allowing some trades in the pre-market on more liquid names like this. Like there's a lot of liquidity in this right now.
All right, guys, I'm out of that INM. Took 41 and then lost like 7 on that pullback. But that's just because of the spread, right? I was not going to let it kind of leak out there, cut in the pre-market because the liquidity can go really quickly through that 6. So I'll be watching INM to come right back up there. We'll see if it gets back up there towards the 7 during the open. Was able to take the money there, right? Take some money. Look for the continued run. It didn't continue run. I'm out. Not going to go ahead and put myself at risk here before the open, but gave myself a little bit to work with. $30. Usually my risk on a trade is about $60 to $80 right now. So about half of the risk already taken off there and gives me a little bit of a cushion to play with. We'll see what happens if we can start to brick these out. But this is the one that I think is the most constructive this morning. More than the other one that we looked at, but we'll see if it can continue working towards the open. It could have just been the liquidity move there too, but my biggest thing is I don't like the liquidity moves too much in the pre-market. Maybe get back in above the 9 like it is trying to do right now, but I'm going to stay on the sideline here. We'll see if this can start to break out towards the open.
Yeah, there's a lot of penny things moving, a lot of pharmaceuticals I saw on some of my scans.
A lot of pharmaceuticals.
I'm watching more of these big guys just because that's the system I have going here. Palantir, for example, is one that's just been a rocket ship that's now on the list. And this is, again, it always feels so weird to be a day trader and then also swing trader and investor, because I'm very long Palantir on like my personal accounts. Then looking to short here on the day trading account, which again, I think is a huge benefit to this, is that we had a really big shoot up at the end of the day. Looked like this was either some short covering or something that happened. Now we're a little bit down in the pre-market. So I'm watching to see if potentially we fail at this 132 area and then break back down through VWAP. Maybe the two-day VWAP would be an interesting one. Some news in the psychedelics space, PSIL. I saw, this is not really liquid. It was this really kind of junky one that moved. So maybe some of the other ones will move as well. But just going through the list, a lot of pharmaceutical things like that. And then the big conversation seems to be on that steel play where STLD or X or CLF, whatever you wanna do, whatever your favorite vehicle is, they'll all kind of move the same because they're all moving based off of the same type of news. But it's going to be an interesting day. I was able to go through. I love when weekends line up with new monthly candles. It's an exercise that I did on Trader TV. I think everyone should do. So you take 10 minutes at the end of the month and you go through all of your monthly candles and just look at what actually happened last month. Because when you zoom out, so here's SPY, you zoom out on a monthly chart, it takes away a lot of the noise and the crap. You can see this is what happened. This is what happened so far this year, right? We had the sell-off that almost looks like nothing now, and then a rally from there. So again, good exercise to do. Right? You can still do it even though it's the beginning of the month, but just go through your lists on a monthly candle. Even if you're a day trader, I think it's a great exercise just to show you that kind of calms the mind a little bit to get your head out of the noise.
Yeah, definitely a good suggestion of the monthly candles. Too many people are not willing to look at them.
Yeah, just and once a month, even if it's just once a month, right? Sit down and go, take the end of the month, go through and click, and it takes 20 minutes to go through your whole list there. So just looking at the SPY off the open, we're kind of stuck between the 1 day VWAP and the 2 day VWAP. Again, we are inside. If we go into a daily chart, we are inside yesterday's range. Let's do like the ES here, just so you can see. We're inside yesterday's range, and all of the action was inside yesterday's range. The post market or the opening on Sunday night, all the way to today, we didn't get anywhere near or through yesterday's low. We didn't get anywhere near through yesterday's high, And then on top of that, on top of being in yesterday's range, we are still stuck in this broader range. So we are inside of a range, inside of a range. So that's just a trade accordingly kind of warning, where when you're incredibly range bound like that going into June, summer is starting. You're stuck. So make sure you've got some sort of game plan to just take profits a little quicker. If the market's not moving, just means breakouts may fail a little bit faster, breakdowns may fail a little bit faster, that type of thing. Just make sure you're in scalp mode until we can kind of stick the landing above 595 or break down below 575. All of this to me is just random noise while the market kind of figures things out.
I'm going to be looking to see if we start the pullback now, as well. We're actually getting at least a cross on the MACD. We'll have to be watching to see if that starts to lead some weakness here. But of course, to me, that just tells me that, hey, there's not as much strength in this market as it was, especially like 2 weeks ago. We've been in sideways consolidation. Which way are we going to break here? I think that's the one thing that we got to be watching for. I think we might try this gap around that SPY gap, and I think that's just what makes sense here, to at least take some gas pedal off here and then give it a chance for the big boys to maybe start coming back in around the 570s.
Yeah, and we talked about this a lot when we were kind of up in this area, right? We were overdone to the upside. Yeah. And the way the market can do consolidation and the way it can deal with these type of moves is in two ways. You can deal with an overbought condition via price and via time. And then something like a MACD is just two moving averages, right? So when those two moving averages are crossing, it could mean that price is reversing, or it could mean in this case that price is going nowhere. So you're seeing the RSI, and we talked about this as well, will just naturally kind of come down. It was almost overbought in the 70s, and now it's down in the 60s, even though price hasn't moved, right? So the longer we chop along here, the longer this RSI will just kind of work its way back down to 50, and then, maybe even below that. But I could go on a whole rant about RSI and how people use it wrong. But and then the market, the COT data came in. They are still short. They're not very short anymore. They're about break even, but they are still short. So they're short on the Qs. They're still short on Bitcoin.
They don't trust Trump, I guess. I guess that's what it is, or something. They don't trust the fiscal policy, because that's the only thing they can be.
And they always lose. And this is what, again, for my COT rant, for those who haven't got it, these guys are always wrong. They're always wrong. They're very long at the top and they're very short at the bottom. This is what contrarian traders do, right? They want to fade, not price, because we know price trends. So fading price will get you killed over time. It's just the way it works. But they fade positioning. So if everybody is long, they're looking to short. If everyone's short, they're looking to long. In this case, everyone's short. So that's why my bet is going to be a breakout of this range at some point, just because they're all short and they're all generally wrong. But it's not an extreme in positioning, and sometimes extremes in positioning, right? So it kind of reminds me of back here after 2020, right? Everyone started to short this rally. And again, the more red, or the more below this line, the more they're short. Everyone shorted into this rally of 2020. Where anyone who was long, if you remember that market, you could have thrown a dart at your screen and you could have probably made 20%. I think I had like 145% year that year, and I don't feel like super proud about it, just because all you had to do was buy stocks that were going up. But the average institutional was short and getting shorter as the rally continued. And then look at where the rally stopped as soon as everybody got net long again. And then again, look at where the rally started in through here when they were flat to short. So no one was able to get involved. And then look at where the rally ended when people started to get very long again. So, same, I think history is probably going to repeat, where until they get long enough that there's been enough exit liquidities, the real smart people, you're just going to get this kind of grind higher. But I'm not going to take any action on that until we break one way or the other. We're range bound, right? So we just gotta bet.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Definitely going to be an interesting day. 9:23. I think Jerome Powell speaking at 1. So keep your eyes on that.
Did you
That's
hear
definitely
the
something to watch
insane
for.
conspiracy theory that's going around? This was
No, bring
hilarious.
it up. Bring
This
it up.
this guy got
You
trolled
know,
so
I'm all
hard.
about the tinfoil. Oh, are you talking about the nuclear one? Where the
No,
guy
this
that
is that
Russia's gonna attack Ukraine with nuclear
he
bombs?
got community noted too.
Oh, you got community noted. Man, that's when you
Yeah,
know you're getting some people mad.
yeah. Last time I didn't even see this because it hadn't happened yet. But
I'll be watching for that APLD, guys. I saw the chat talk about that one. We'll be watching for a pullback. I like it for this swing. It just needs to get back down to 8.
so yeah, this was the tweet that kind of went viral last night. That Jay Powell will resign on Monday and Trump's going to lower rates. And then again, this
Oh
community note.
yeah,
This community note wasn't here last night, so I posted. I don't know if anyone's gonna know this meme, but me. But it's like
this guy's
everyone's
gonna
like,
need a therapist.
right? There's gonna be like one guy in chat that gets this really old meme of like, "Where's your source?" I made it up, so I just posted that with it because it was just, and it wasn't noted at the time, but if you went into his chat, he was just getting trolled so hard that he was just looking to. Yeah, but that was the thing trying to go around on Sunday nights. So maybe somebody was short and or maybe someone's they needed some crazy price movement or something to get out, but no, he's not, because Jay Powell's been very adamant that he is not going anywhere, and it's one of those that Trump doesn't have the ability to kick him out. So if it does, it ends up being this massive legal battle that. It's like one of those. I talked to a lawyer buddy of mine. I'm like, so does Trump have the power to kick him out? And he's like, technically no, but it's just one of those things that no one's ever tried before. It's just kind of been like a gentleman agreement. And
exactly, he would do it, and then of course the courts would battle back, and then it would go to the Supreme Court, and then it would have to be this whole thing on does he have the power, and things like that. So. Yeah, so we all know how the Supreme Court works right now. It's whatever Trump wants. So I don't think they're gonna go that route though. That's a tough route to go.
Mr. Beast for Fed chair, but yeah, it was just hilarious. So is it somebody Beast. What? I'm just saying by the guy's name, maybe he was looking to, maybe he's a little bit too long Bitcoin, and he was trying to pump it. Is that
who would replace him? I agree. Who would want to replace him after that?
Who would want to take that job, right? The rates have to be where the president is, regardless of what your data says. They'll get to work.
I mean, I'll do it. Just I won't even do any data search. I would just be like, yo, Trump, so what am I doing, man?
It doesn't even make that much. I looked that up one time, and it was like, I think it was like 150 grand a year or something. It wasn't like
you know what it is. It's just all the lobbying that comes after them, right? Like you don't think that somebody tries to lobby the Fed? Come on, man.
Oh no, he'll get a nice cushy job. 250 a year. So that's like
that's not bad for a government job.
That's not bad. That's not, it's not crazy. It's not like you're doing it for the money, because for
the people.
Right. And there's no way you're doing that for that salary. You're doing it for the cushy Goldman Sachs job you get after. That's where you're doing it.
Yeah, that and just more like just notoriety, right? Like you would just probably just do it to just have your name always be remembered, kind of like.
And that's why, that's why you get a lot of, I think, older men do it, right? They've made their money. I don't think Jay Powell's a poor guy.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care about money anymore. It's just more, what can I go get my name into? It's either going to be a really cool board or something like this, right?
So I was saying, are you bullish or bearish today? Neither. Both and neither.
Show me, right? More like it.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, we're inside yesterday's range, right? We were just talking about this, and inside this massive range. Until then, I think it's very right. If you take a trade, you've got to take the money if you see it. We're in that kind of scalp mode, like make as much money as you can, and then and then deal with it from there. But no, they're saying 100K plus the inside trade. They can't trade anymore. J-Pow put a rule in. So it's the congressman and everything can trade, but only The people inside the Fed committee can only own future or own index funds. So he doesn't even get the fun stuff that Pelosi gets. Like, come on, man. Like if I'm gonna get yelled at by the president all day long, at least I want the Pelosi returns. I don't want just the S&P 500 returns. Yeah, but he was the first one to put through a big rule of we're not allowed, because they got in trouble. I think someone in the Fed got in trouble a couple years back because they either bought or sold a whole bunch of stuff right before they changed interest rates. So yeah, they're only allowed to kind of put their money in and go from there. So, but yeah, trying to pick the direction of this market is just going to be super hard. So the two levels I'm watching is 588 and then 587, and then that's kind of the range we've been in all morning. It is kind of rare, and I think that's why me and Mitch are talking so much crap, because we have some news. Where are we? The second, but nothing crazy. So we have ISM at 10.
Yeah,
maybe. And then
it's Friday. Friday's the big day, guys. So when we get the unemployment data and jobs report, that's going to be the big economic data this week. Before that, I wouldn't even I almost ignore it, because what is the Fed going to say? They can't say anything right now because it's back and forth. And we got I think it was Gooseby that said last week, he was like, oh, but if the tariffs are off, yeah, we can go and cut rates. Well, guess what? We just got another word of more tariffs and things. So they're just going to just be still on we can't do anything until this is finally determined. And I don't think it's going to be determined this year. I got a feeling that we're going to be talking tariffs in freaking November.
Probably, the logical thing would say they're going to be gone by the next
Palantir, rocket out the gates. That got the buy button all over it, guys. Somebody put a big alert there, guys. That was a huge
and
one
the SPY, at least the first initial pop here is higher, so we're moving just at least a little bit. We're pushing higher here. So.
Palantir, definitely a big rocket move there. That broke the flag pattern from last week, and it was a big move there up to 130, 132 now. 125 break on Friday. I was watching for that, and man, it was a really nice breakout on that. It was fun because it was a move against the market. Palantir was going up, yet the market was coming down. It was a nice trade.
Yeah, and that happened, again, as an owner, I saw it in my account. That happened all in the last 5 minutes or something yesterday.
APLD, hot out the gates, guys. I really like that name. You mentioned CoreWeave, a partnership with CoreWeave. That's the exact company you want a partnership with right now. APLD, ripping, almost to 9. I wanted to swing trade this, guys. I had an alert to buy it at 773. This thing said, I'm not coming down. I'm ripping out the gates here.
Yeah, everything's looking so far so good, right? We're getting the SPY through. This purple line represents the pre-market high, also represents the 2-day VWAP. So a pretty important zone there in the SPY to see that go through so insanely quickly. So, we need to keep that in mind, that's ideally we get some sort of back test of that, right? It's a very important level, but just to kind of calm everyone, we are still inside of yesterday's range, and we are still inside that massive range. So the first area, if we want to get super bullish, that we need to get through is going to be 592, which is going to be yesterday's high. So long way to go there. We're at 589 right now, so we have a long way to go there, but I for one am rooting for it. I'm long a lot of stuff, so I hope we break out, and so far it looks like we are. So the opening drive seems to be bullish. Getting a lot of things coming, a lot of alerts coming through here. I got to take a look at DKNG. I heard the British man yell about. Okay, so I am long some DraftKings. This was an earnings play, I do believe. We had a little break there.
Nice little recovery on the support there. Let's see if it comes back there. HIM's really strong. Hood's really strong out the gates. Zscaler strong. Tempest up 4% out the gates. RCAT. That's an alert there, guys. That's on the playbook today. Ripping there from 650 to 690s and continuing to hold the rip. RCAT.
I got to talk to a Bitcoin nerd. This Bitcoin, Hood is ripping, and Bitcoin isn't moving like at all. Like usually these are lockstep, right? Bitcoin's moving a little bit off the open here, but look at the Bitcoin move so far versus the Robinhood, which again is usually lined up pretty well. So that is a very nice looking daily chart on that Robinhood, right? This kind of, I think we talked about this on Friday. It's a very nice cup and handle. And then if you zoom out, it's a very nice cup and handle. So you've got inception here on the cup and handle look. And it looks like we're trying to break out to, is that new all-time highs? If you don't count this little spike that happened, I would put that in. I'd put that in all-time high territory.
RCAT, hot, man. At least two of the names that I was looking at today on the top end of my watch list, looking good. HIMS and RCAT, two of the names that I'm watching there. Now NNE starting to lift. That's the one that I'm watching for too. Now I'm looking for pullbacks and VWAP on any of these names. Can I get a VWAP pullback? I'll play it, guys. I'm not going to play the buying the highs right now because I feel like that's a really dangerous game to play right now. I don't know if Michael would agree, but I just feel like in this type of market, you're looking to buy dips, not necessarily buy rips. So sell rips, buy dips. That's the way I look at this market right now.
No, I agree. It's really hard for me to chase anything long up here because, again, we haven't even gotten through yesterday's high, right? Everything is straight off the open. But these are one of those times that I try to be the boring boomer and pull everyone in and go, listen, right? Zoom out. Yesterday's high is right up here. Don't go too crazy. Now, right? Yeah. There's two sides of me. There's the day trading side of me and the short-term swing trading side of the thing that's saying chill. There's the guy who owns HIMS and owns Palantir and owns this that hopes they just rocket to the moon. But from a day trading standpoint, not only is this high Friday's high, but look at it. It's 1, 2, 3 highs up here that we really rejected from all, Friday night and then Saturday morning or Monday morning. And yeah, so it was a major high is basically what I'm trying to say. There was a lot of price action done there. There was a lot of action happening there. And then through that, we've got this just above. So it's, so I just be patient, right? Wait for your times, wait for your pullbacks. This UNH, it does look good, but again, I'm talking my book here. So RGB.
Try to get HIMS on the 90 MA pullback, trying to get in here. Let's see if I can get the pullback to get in. No fill. Jumped on me, guys. The spread on HIMS is a little hard to get filled in there. It's about 13-14 cents right now. So look to see if I can get in.
HIMZ actually has an okay spread sometimes, so you might want to take a look at that. But
I'll look for a dip below VWAP here. I tried to get in there at the 56. No entry there. It went away from me. Now I just moved it down towards the 40s here to see if we dip below the low. I'm able to get that dip entry here. There it goes, dipping towards my entry. Let's see if I can get my entry here. Come on.
Yeah, very
HIMS.
Cup and handle look on the daily chart on that guy.
Man, no fill there, man. Just literally was sitting in between the spread there. No fill. I hate chasing like this, guys, so I'll wait for the bid fill, and I just got it. That's what I wanted.
There you go. That's a good lesson in patience, right? And if you're doing that with, which Mitch knows, so I'm just talking to the audience, you have to be okay with letting it go and just saying, if I don't get my fill, and that's really hard for a lot of people, just to say.
A lot of traders struggle with that. I was wondering why my position thing wasn't showing. There it is. Yeah, I'll show you guys it. Trying to put my screen up here.
Nice little push up. So him's retaking that 2-day.
Look at that entrance. 57.56. Low there was 57.41, guys. So really good entry. And I had an order at 57.31 to add. So I had a ladder approach here. So at this point, right, we're back to the green and break even. I'll cancel out at 57.50s. I'm just looking for this to break the high, and then I can sell half of it and look for it to just keep running. Let's go. Let's go.
It's a good shout out on Apple.
Ooh, nice mention. Nice mention.
Ripping.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Looking good here, guys. I'm trying to get this to break the 58.20s here because that would be the breakout. If not, it could trend line off of that So like a pullback off of that could happen here. So I'm looking at it here to see if we can break above that 58.20s. Orders out to sell some there. Let's see if we get it. Look how it pulled back right off of that. We'll see if we can get it. I'm just trying to take half off here as it breaks 58.20s and then just look for the remainder to run.
Yeah. Some wise words from our boy Steph, right? Is you gotta getting those emotions out of your way. This is especially
sure, always
times like this in which the market's kind of ripping here, right? Is that if you got a good pullback, right? You pulled off a good trade like Mitch, great, right? I've got my my DraftKings, and that's it. So I need to just kind of be patient. Well, I'm still short my CLF, but hasn't really done anything either. So it's very much the market you'll get some sort of pullback, you'll get something at some point. But sometimes the market just does this, where the opening range drive is just higher and you were either in or you're out, right? You're missing it. And that's okay. And you got to be okay with that. Right? That's something that in the future, maybe you do something like, okay, what can I do to make sure I don't miss these type of days? And that's a good exercise.
All right, guys, just sold half there on the trend line now. Looking for the breakout above on HIMS, and there you go. Can hold the rest break even. Looking for a bigger winner now. Let's see if it just runs. Pull back to the VWAP will get me out, and I'm actually above VWAP. At VWAP's at 57.61. I'm at 57.56. So going to look to see if it can run. If not, it'll probably get me out on the break even here, but took some cash. Up 62. Let's keep trading, guys. All right, let's keep making work out there.
Non-stop.
Look at this APLD out the gates, man. This thing just can't stop, man. It's a great mention there. I got to give a shout out to my boy in the chat because he brought it up from the very beginning. So that's what it's all about. Billy, with this mention right here, 852, APLD. I appreciate you, my friend. This would have been a great trade.
So
I struggled
getting
a little bit.
That third hand hype, because CoreWeave is getting the OpenAI hype.
Man.
Now APLD 100%. Is getting
you know it. It's like the algos love things like this because they literally look for names. They'll get coded to look for a name in a press release. They see CoreWeave, they just go buy. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes sense, right? It's their stock is doing amazing. So any partnerships with those, I saw some of those algos when I was working in the hedge fund space that would just kept an ongoing list of the most popular brand companies out there and partnership with whatever, buy as much as you can without really moving the stock. So a partnership with Apple, your stock's going to rip. Partnership with Google, Microsoft, and now Nvidia. These things are going to be amazing. So good shout out there. PLTR, still they're basing around VWAP, but nothing's really coming back yet. And the SPY is starting to come back a little bit to VWAP here. So we have to keep that in mind, that we are
be patient.
We're coming back just a bit.
Yeah, I'm looking at RCAT here on the pullback, guys. It just perfect VWAP trend pattern right back up. So what I want to see is a 3 pattern cut. So 1, 2. I want to see one more time to hang out here. Maybe I move to 660 first. I want to buy here. Like I'm itching to buy it there. That just tells me more and more. Let it go to where you were stopped if you got in right here, which would be that 660. I want to see it hit that 660, come back to that 670, and then I'm going to risk on that 660 here for RCAT. Just sometimes I really like to describe the trade out if I can. And in this case, I can describe the trade out way ahead of time. Let's see if it works here. Bull flag entry. So you want it to come back to the bottom end of this bull flag and then break the trend line on the top end of it. So we'll see if we can do that on this move.
Yeah, it's we need to see where this pullback goes, right? So so far it's working its way, it's itching its way to VWAP, but if it still has that VWAP above or below it, and then it also has the breakout zone of that 588, which was the pre-market level. So a lot of things that could bounce the market, and that could really help with something like ARCAT, which I know there was some drone news period. So it's going to
That's it.
move with kind of
Simple
sentiment.
as that.
So
As simple as that. It has nothing to do with actual ARCAT drones. It's just Ukraine brought some drones into Russia and
oh
deep into
yes,
Russian territory with trucks, and then
yeah.
launched them off of trucks, and was able to strike really important airfields in Russia. So even as far as I think Siberia, I think they even got into like that's just showing you war nowadays is going to be fought with drones, guys. It's no longer a
Absolutely.
battle about human lives. It's more a battle about computers, robots. Get ready because there's already robots that can like you can get like thrown into like a battle and it'll destroy everything, man. They're
Well, and
laser
the
targeted and
drone,
stuff like that. So
um the price of drones. Like I read somewhere that someone just had a pie chart, and basically Ukraine blew up. It was like $200 million worth of planes and everything for like
no
20
way.
grand in drones. Like the difference in expenses, and when it comes to war, you know, the amount of money you swing through makes a big deal. So right, if you can blow up $100 million worth of their stuff for 10 grand of your stuff, that's, you know,
Arcat's popping right now. Dude, come on. I literally was trying to set up my swing trade there. Oh, that is like as sucky as it gets, dude. Guys, I'm literally watching Arcat and I'm like trying to pull up my other trade the pool account, my swing trade account. I want to swing this. It's only about 10 cents difference. So I could still just buy it here. So I'm gonna buy it here, but at the same time, I'm like a little annoyed because I should have not been here. I should be lower towards the lower end of today's trading action. But I'm gonna take a little bit here on the swing trade. First swing trade on the new account, guys. You guys can see it here. I just said, you know what? I'm not gonna hesitate. I'll just take it through the 7 break. So I just took it there. Starter on, guys. And we'll look to see how far this can run. This is more of a daily attempt also. That's why I like the trade too. It's strong through 7. That's what I talked about. So now I can risk on this kind of $6. I'll risk about $100 on this trade, looking for this to climb out of the resistance and start to really climb. Maybe it gets to like 10 or something like that. I'm not looking for crazy, but if I can do a 3-to-1 risk to return on this swing trade, that's what I'm going to do. We'll see what happens, guys. First swing trade on, guys. I wanted
nice.
APLD. I wanted APLD to be that one, but you saw how it went. It just took off. So this is the next one that was on the playbook for a potential swing trade. I also like NNE. I don't want to do these too big too. That's one thing to keep in mind. Like right here, I still even think like this one isn't the craziest, right? At least it's only taken $700 of my $10,000, right? So I got to keep that in mind when I'm taking these swing trades because I don't want them only be one trade. That's the other thing too. All right, guys. So I just wanted to show you guys that new account that I opened up. Swing trades. Check them out.
And that is, yeah, as soon as we get the auto trading stuff, I'm going to be all in on that, the swing tradings too, just because I've already gotten like 4 or 5 triggers so far today. So having those go through would be great.
All right, gonna go watch HIMS here, guys. We did do an attempted breakout on HIMS when I was kind of watching the other stock there, ARCAT. We went to 58.60s and then we turned around. So at this point, I can raise my stop where we just made a recent low on the 1 minute. So 57.80s, I'm going to set the stop there. At this point, I can't lose on this position. We'll hold it for that breakout. Let's see if we can go right back through that 58.80s, going to 59. And just got an alert there from INM looking for a 6 break on this. This is looking good here, guys. Made money this morning. I'm going to try to grab it here. Let me see if I can get over in time.
Selling happened here and on the SPY. Pretty bad. Like not crazy, but down through switch here, but down through VWAP. That just happened. I'm on a 2-minute chart, so that just happened really, really quick. So just be careful there. We do have some numbers, but they're not for another 12 minutes, and it's ISM, so it's not going to be anything crazy. Could be market moving, but nothing crazy. But we are seeing a little bit of a downtick here, so just be careful.
Good reaction right out the gates on INM.
Yeah, 588 is the pre-market high, and it's the 2-day VWAP, so we could expect to see some support in there as well, but just saw that happen real quick there.
All right, guys, in the green here for INM, guys. Stops placed at 578 here just for protection. Would like to see it hold 6 here, break out above towards 650s. Let's see if INM can really get going here. After 650s, I'll look for a run to 7. That's really where I was looking in the pre-market. Already made money on this name. Going to go ahead and risk the same amount that I made this morning. Made 41. I can risk here 30, right? Let's see what happens. Let's see if it can go.
So we're getting a little bounce there in the
Hims. Let's go, Hims.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of a bounce there in the SPY. So far we've dug into the VWAP and we're seeing buyers there. So that's fantastic. We just got to see a little bit more of that, I think. I think that's, the main thing is that we have to see that hold. Because so far we're dancing around that 2-day VWAP, and that's going to do a lot when it comes to things like these hymns and like how it affects these more crazy guys. I'm getting a couple short triggers, so I can just kind of fill you guys in. I shorted Core Weave there. I just didn't want to interrupt Mitch with his.
Oh, you're good, my friend. My stock is ripping there, guys. INM is ripping here, guys. Ripping.
Good work, man. Yeah, so I'm short a little Core Weave. Palantir as well. I'm short a little Palantir, which again hurts because
INM, let's go. Look at INM go. Hims just cash. Let's get it. Can it get to 7? Look at that wick. That thing came down in less than a millisecond. It's like 30-40 cents. Be careful out there, traders. Be careful. Man, that was crazy. It was so close to halting at 7 there. And then there's some big size that went in there. I don't know what it was. It seemed dark poolish to me, but it flipped in like, holy moly. I don't know how you can hold on to that. If you had 1,000 shares and you bought up there at 670s, you lost there 70 cents in less than a second. Look at it go for the halt now. That's what I call liquidity scares, guys. I'm going to go back to break even at this point because we already went back to my liquidity scare. There it goes for the halt for the 7. Let's see if it just keeps going here. Oh, let's go. Will it go for the halt? Come on, get into the halt. It doesn't want to halt, guys. That's scary when they don't want to halt, guys. I actually like for it to halt right there at 7. It hit 7 right on the dot, and it stopped there. 697. Let's see if we can clear 7 with this move here. 680s here. Let's go. Let's get it going. Hammer that 7 so I can take some off here.
What a crazy stock, man. Good for you, bud. But I'm just watching. I'm like a part of the chat right now.
It's taking too long, guys. So I just took half off there, guys. It took too long. So now I can at least feel the pressure off, right? When you take half off, the number one thing that you'll feel like is pressure gets relieved. So I took off there because we went sideways. So instead of breaking this high, we went sideways there. We gave the attempt to break the high, but it didn't go. So at this point, I'm just like going to be break even and let this ride. Now I took another 35. And remember, I took earlier on this small name 41. So I'm up 70 on the name, break even at a spot of control for a move into my direction, halt. So at this point, just break even, let it go. Go working elsewhere. I don't even need to watch this anymore. I can go looking elsewhere, guys. Hims is pulling back there. I got out of the name, guys, because the Qs are dropping fast here. Qs are dropping fast, man.
So I've got my Core Weave.
Be careful out there, traders.
And I got my Palantir short. Let me just switch over here. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. Palantir short, again, blue arrow. We were talking about this in the morning. This is the setup. Right?
INM broke 7.
Market. And I'm there.
Let's go.
It's a nice
and then E on the radar.
Move. Yeah, and the Qs just broke and closed under VWAP there, so we got to pay attention to that here. And then the SPY is pulling back here as well. So, like we talked about, we are range bound. So, right, if you got the profits, take them until we can break this range in some way. Right, it's good time to zoom out and look at the daily candle that has done absolutely nothing. We didn't get anywhere close to yesterday's high. We are nowhere close to yesterday's low, and we are still in the middle of this range. Right, so. This kind of action is what you see in range-bound markets. Is this everyone gets excited? We're going to break, and then it slams back down. So right, just keep your head on straight and just kind of zoom out a little bit. So CoreWeave, the ultimate target is 111.50. I'm going to be a wuss and be out well before then. And same with Palantir. I'm looking at this 128. Again, DraftKings didn't work at all. Give me no chance to even take anything off the table. So the entry was here and there was a stop loss, so it just stopped me out pretty quick. So that's what we're looking at for here. So I've just got these shorts. I still have CLF short, but this has just been more frustrating than anything. So I might kill this one pretty soon. It just hasn't done anything. Even with the market going up, it didn't go up. And with the market going down, it's not going down. So it just could just be one of those things that just doesn't really trade too much today. So we're waiting on that, but mostly short here.
Watching NNE for a potential entry here, closer towards 30 would have to be the entry, though. I'd want it to kind of fake a wipeout to the downside and then come back up, right? So we'll see what happens here on NNE. Watching it on the 15-minute, it's hanging on this VWAP. Make one attempt through that 30, like you're going to 29.90, scaring out some longs, and then really go. That's what I'll be watching for on NNE here.
Mm-hmm. What happened to RRGB?
Show you that.
Red Robins.
Go.
Let's
see if we get it. Red Robins.
Like, look at this. I don't know if you looked at this thing. You don't need nuclear. You need burgers. Look at the burger chart right
burgers, there. Bro. Burgers.
Again, as a Canadian,
unlimited fries.
I don't think we have these, so I don't know what it's like. But market likes it, at least recently.
Unlimited fries, bro. No, they'll get you.
Not so much overall, but at least this last little bit, they've been fans.
If you're a fries fan, they're good for fries.
Mm-hmm. Well, good.
All right, guys. I'm at this point where I'm raising the stop loss in this INM. It should have gone into a first hold by now, guys. So I'm raising it up here. Essentially, just trying to make sure that I cash on this thing, right? But we'll look to see if it can keep going. 9 EMA is just tailing it. So here it goes for another halt attempt push. There's 730s, and it runs right into a big seller at the 730s. I can tell you there's a big seller there right into that 730s. But this is the guru and furu type of name. Let's see if it really wants to take off. Might do a 650 attempt here and then right back up, but it's where you want to take your cash at this point. Do you want to keep riding it or look for the bigger breakout here? We'll see if it even attempts that bigger breakout. There's 719s. It's trying. You see these wicks? Selling pressures on the pops, right? That's what that's telling me. So we need to get through those levels. 730s seem to be the area where the big seller showed up there. We could still get a 9 EMA attempt. So that's that light blue line here. I think we might get that. And then it's going to try to recover here. So the wick could go down to like 650s even. So I think I got to put a stop at 640s here or just get out here and take the money and run. At this point, it hasn't been a bad name. I'll still be up at like 100 if I get out at 640s. So we'll do that. We'll take the 640s here and we'll put a stop there and we'll just let it work here. See if it just catches the 9, which is a momentum move, and back up through towards 8. That's the next layer that I could see. If it goes from breaks out here, I could see 8 coming into play. APLD coming back down, guys. Eventually, I'll try to grab that one today. I would love it on an hourly back down below 8. It has to get closer to 7 so that I could risk it on the daily chart, but I wouldn't mind it on a swing trade. This is a perfect chart that I'd like. Just need to get as closest to the resistance so that I can risk below the support. We'll see what happens there.
SPY is digging in here, trying to after that pretty dramatic sell. We do have, again, it's not going to be insane news, but we do have some coming up in like 2 minutes. So let's see what happens after that. Again, we have just been sucked right back into the middle of the pre-market range. So everything looked amazing that we were going to maybe break out, maybe try to get through yesterday's high. And now we are pretty much right where we opened, a little bit below. So right in the middle of the range. So we have to
hit up the Discord here.
There.
Got to hit up the Discord. If you're not on our Discord, what are you doing, guys? I'm letting them know, guys. This was actually a strategy that we just did. INM 9 EMA strategy that I broke down last week. Right there on the Discord, guys. Get to the Discord. What are you missing?
Yeah, it was a good little event that they had there with a lot of
Look
people
at that,
talking a lot
almost
of
8.
different metrics, different styles. It was really cool to see.
This is strong, guys. I'm trying my best not to sell here. We might break 8. All right, got to take some off here. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take some off here. All right, selling half there and just letting it go. Let it go. Stop actually canceled there. Back down towards $6. So I'm going to give myself some slippage to make sure I end up in the green. So I'm at 648 with the stop. But there it goes. Just time to keep it going, guys. Look at this play, guys. I'll show you guys the entries. Look at the entries here. Boom. Exits on the rips, holding really well, looking great here, right from the Trader Evolution there. Let's go, guys. Good day today. Let's keep working.
Yep. Both Palantir and CoreWeave are paying nicely here. I've lightened up here on the 2 of them.
Nice one. One. Yeah, there we go. Gotcha. Boom.
Yeah. It's just green arrow or blue arrow right through VWAP. So far, then it's been bleeding a bit. The reason I'm just taking some off now is we've got a lot of pre-market area here, and same with CoreWeave. So just right this kind of range, this pre-market zone. So up pretty nicely on them. I'm going to take part off. Again, the 2 targets are 111.50 on CoreWeave, and then Palantir 128.50. So if we can get both of those, that will be a very, very good day. CLF I got out of as well, just on this candle, so pretty much right at 750. Just if it's not going to participate when the market is selling, then it's not something that I'm super interested in. So we've just got that number, and you see a little gap down on the 2-minute chart there. You don't see intraday gaps too much on the most liquid instrument in the world, but so whatever number came through, you only get a gap like that if you've got an algorithm that really kind of smashed it. So they didn't like whatever it was, but again, it's not going to be insane. It's not going to move everything too much, but
it looks like a lot of green to red moves here. Not what you want to see if you're a bull here. So they're starting to really hit the market now. We're going back towards the open here, and they're washing it, guys. It's so much that I'm not longing my NNE here. I'm actually starting to look for shorts and things that are really getting hit. And those names I'll actually be watching to see if they leak even further. Ponies down, AEVA, AUR really getting washed today, guys. Quantum names getting washed. So it looks like bullish traps there. Look at the Dutch Bros, even big hit there in Dutch Bros. So looks like a lot of these momentum names coming off here. Rigetti, Bull, Tesla even coming off. Docu, Coin. Look how these all are bull traps. Bull traps out the open here today. Let's see if it starts to catch on the opening action. That's the areas that I'd watch. The names that I'd be more careful of is like names like this, right? That really broke down out the gates. But names that are above and like maybe did bull traps but are holding the support look a little bit better. But some of these names are really starting to wash, like Rigetti and the quantum names. Definitely, I think this is a wash here on QBTS. Look where it went to. I don't know if that's a real move, but they went from 1576 down to 1515 in a 1-minute candle here. Could be leaking a little bit further. That was a quick 4%.
I got the wick here as well on TradingView. That would have been a crazy wick, but just like we were telling everyone to
gold hot, man, gold hot.
Chill it when we were rallying a bit. I'm going to do the same thing now that we're selling a bit, because we are still inside yesterday's range. We have got nowhere near yesterday's high. We've got nowhere near yesterday's low. We are still stuck, and now we're rallying a little bit. So just I'll say it on the long side, and you just saw me do it on the short side. If you see profits, take some, because we are in yesterday's range. That is inside a larger range, and we are just doing nothing. So maybe it's going to be one of those things, hopefully not, where JPOW speaks way later in the day, and that kicks us either up or down. But I could see this action solely, and like Mitch said, we have a big event. I agree that the only thing people care about right now are jobs numbers, because that's kind of boiled down the healthy economy into one thing, and that's not till Friday. So there's just a lot of things saying that we could be in this range for a long time, and because we're traders and we trade, it means that just know that don't get too excited when we're rallying. Don't get too excited when we're selling, right? We are hard stuck inside this range. So use these little sells to potentially buy and maybe put risk against yesterday's low, and use the rallies to maybe sell and put the risk against yesterday's high. So that's what I did with those Palantir and CoreWeave. Just they were a little bit too overextended on their gaps. And I had that kind of red to green, or that VWAP fade setup. So I took both those.
Cash 9M, and they broke the 9 EMA there. It didn't close below it, but it washed enough to where it hit my stop there. I kept like trailing it now as I broke back to the 9 EMA there. I always look for the 9 EMAs to hold there. And on the third attempt here at the 722, I start to get defensive, right? So it breaks out here, right, on the first breakout, and it starts holding the first pullback. The second pullback I'm okay with. The third pullback here at the 723 could be the wash right back to the VWAP. So in that case, I went out and got out there. It could still recover it, but essentially that's a close below the 9. So in the strategy, I'll get out and take the money. Not a bad trade.
That's how you got to do it, right? You got your trailing out. The beauty of some sort of trailing outs that I like is you give yourself that unlimited potential upside, right?
Yeah.
You have that chance for something crazy to happen. Often it won't, but you're giving it that little shot. Silver is going. I just had a buddy of mine message me, say, "What's up with silver?" I don't know, but it is not only because I own some, and I know we were talking about that around the 27. Yeah, I bought some around 27.50, and I'm hoping, I've been watching this 31 break. If you go to a long-term chart, right, this 31 break for a long time, that would kind of create or complete a little cup and handle kind of look. If we can get above that 31.50, no idea what's going on today, but I'm happy. And then even from just the intraday action, like the 2-minute candle, just buy program for sure on this one. Someone is buying a crap ton of silver here. Again, don't know why, but don't care. I'll take it.
Is it Mags? Which one's actually kind of getting the lift there?
MAGS is the Mag silver could be. Oh, there's Mag silver Wheaton is another one.
Yeah.
AG as well.
AG is up from the open here 2.7, and then AG is the one 5.6. So that's the one that's performing the most. It's also off the bottom, right, versus the top of the chart. I kind of like that. I'm more of that bottom picker, right? So like I like the setup that you're doing there, but it just like setup wise, I like this also just because it's the way that it's breaking out off the 650s.
And AG is one of those. The reason it's not a high flyer like the rest is they pays a hefty dividend. So the fact you zoom out in this chart and you say, "Oh, this chart hasn't moved in years," yes, but they pay a dividend, right? Yeah. So it's one of those you get paid for nothing. And when you're kind of there's some of these miners, I forget how they're set up with, but they're almost like set up like trusts, like they pay out whatever it is they get. So some of these names, Silver Wheaton, those type of things.
I&M continuing there now. 780s could just keep going, guys, and keep running, guys. These are the hard ones to hold, and I think the big thing was for that break on the 9 EMA, it did go down below the 7, getting me out. If I had let's say the original stop there still at the $6, I'm still in it, right? So there are ways to learn of how do you stay in a name like this, right? We'll see what happens on I&M if it can just keep going. I mean, if you look at the 15-minute chart, it still has 9 potential, 948, and that's just to get to the resistance. It could break that and keep going, right? So we'll see what happens there. I&M, crazy move today, guys. Q's kind of chopping around here. Can we get a recovery of the opening price here? I'm watching for it. NNE is one of the names that I'm looking to trade here if it comes back.
Yeah, it would not surprise me if we are dead even. We have a Fed Logan speaking. He's a 2-star. So, okay.
2-star? 2-star?
You know, so I don't know. They're ranking the Feds now, saying this is how important they are to the market. But again, this is one of those zoom out days. Realize you are stuck inside the middle, and you don't want to be going crazy. You want to take your money when you got it. You don't want to be chasing breakouts or breakdown. You just gotta pay yourself. And I'm seeing that happen a little bit on PLTR and CoreWeave, where they are bouncing a little bit with the markets. So, I've taken some of my money off the table. I'm trying very hard to hold on to the rest, but I would not be surprised if the SPY just bounces right back up here, and we're kind of back in, because we are in the middle again of that pre-market range. So we broke the high of the pre-market range, and now we broke the low of the pre-market range, and now we're smack dab in the middle of it. So these are one of those days that, as a young man, that would have frustrated the heck out of me, because I probably would have chased the breakout, chasing the breakdown. As an old man, I just pick my shot and taking the money quickly when I see it.
Yeah, I got the question the other day about, well, why do you use 15 or hourlies for moments like this, right? Like, you want to use shorter time frames. That's okay to look at for like entry, because you're trying to like get the best entry at that moment, but try to always still go back to the bigger time frames, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what's also saved me on INM, right? The only reason I looked at it was because the pattern looked good on the 15. Then I executed the trade on the 1 minute, right? But I'm a lot of times trying to still look at the range and the overall setup on the bigger time frame. This is very important for you traders out there.
Well, and it helped keeps the emotion, right? You saw it with us. The chat was lighting up when we were ripping off the open, and we were saying, calm down, right? We're still inside of everyone's range. And then everyone got really worked up when the market started to sell off, and we said, calm down. We're still inside yesterday's range. So it's very, very important. You guys see me all the time. I go to my chart, so you see me all the time just doing this, because I'm switching back from daily to this chart. But when I'm not showcasing this to you, I have generally a 2-minute chart, because that's just what my algo works on, so I have to watch that. But then this daily chart is much more prominent, because this just tells me what I should be doing. Should I be really aggressively long, or should I really be aggressively short? When I see we are inside this range here, and we are still inside yesterday's range here, that tells me I should be very much in profit taking mode. And I should, when I see a trade, take my money, move on to the next one, rinse and repeat, right?
Like, I'm always about themes, right? So I think we're seeing a theme right now in the market today. One of it is the steel trade, right? So everyone went to steel to trade those, but what about all the steel stocks that are affected by it? So I thought when you were talking there early in the pre-market, I should have brought it up, but it was GM that was on my radar for the downside move. Look at the opening action on GM here.
Ooh,
Just straight wash. Why? Steel. So then what are some other big things that would be affected by steel, right? Well, it would also be the heavy construction trade. Take a look at CAT and Deere today. Take a look at that area, the XLI today. It is getting annihilated. This is what happens when you start to work things back. Manufacturing sounds sexy, but then you go and you tariff one of the number one things that is important for the industrials, which is steel. Right? Like, let's just be honest, right? Like, you're going to construct anything, you're going to need steel. So like for like the heavy farm construction area, I mean, those literally go off of steel, right? So if you tariff that even further, you're causing their price to go higher, which is killing the demand at the wrong time, when interest rates should be going the opposite way and increasing demand. Further telling me that we got to continue to watch the business cycle. Are we seeing a ramp up of the business cycle, or are we just seeing a conflicting kind of battle here with the tariffs, and what is going to win in the long run here, right? Is it going to be the tariffs, or are we going to find a way to really reignite growth?
Yeah, and what's interesting, so this red line here, this is XLI. I'll make this a little bigger. And then the main chart is steel. So it's just showing that we're getting that. Generally speaking, we'll move in lockstep, but at least today we're getting a big divergence, just showing that. Yeah, if your input costs are higher, your profits are lower, or you're going to build less stuff.
Look at Ford down to 3%. So I think this even affected Tesla today. So I think that you're still seeing that kind of effect still way in here. I'm watching to see if the Qs can make a lift off again, guys. NNE on the radar here. Some nuclear trades not looking too bad. The one that's doing well is CEG, not looking that bad right now. I'm keeping an eye on that name, because it is one of the names that are doing well. Tempest AI doing well in the market today. Of course, Zscaler, man, that thing just keeps rocking and rolling. This is the perfect description of a swing trade, and that Zscaler, man, that thing just keeps rocketing. That looks like a trend trade right there. What are you looking at? SMMT?
Yeah, falling apart here.
Yeah, that thing's definitely falling down.
Yeah, for sure. Nice little sell off there. Yeah, someone was just saying thanks for Red Robin, putting that on my list.
Red Robins.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Could be great burgers. I don't know either, but I agree on the cues. Right, we're trying to dig in here, but we have VWAP right above. We've got a lot of things that are kind of in our way there. Just trying to. It's just chop, right? So if we take this line is going to be the pre-market high. This line is going to be the pre-market low. We didn't get to the pre-market low on the cues, but if you watch the SPY, we did there, where the SPY, you can see, broke the pre-market highs, broke the pre-market lows, just to end up right back in the middle, right? Someone's saying a Palantir dip. I hope you're right.
Yeah, there is. It's been dipped back down to 130. That's why I'm watching HIMS right here, guys. I'm watching HIMS on the pullback. It did do a wick back through the open. It's back to 56. Could have got bought back up at 56. So just looking at HIMS there, Palantir, I'll show you the similar pullback look, right? So undercut, don't they look similar? If I just showed you that it's almost the same pattern. It's a rip out the gates, pull it back to the support. Let's see if they bought that support and they can drive it back to the highs. If they drive it back there, I mean, that's a big breakout right back. So risk to reward, these setups are looking decent. The thing for me is the Qs just kind of hanging out here. What's going to happen with the Qs? That's what you got to bet on, really. If the Qs come back to the 521, yeah, you got that Palantir and HIMS more than likely. So we'll see what happens here. And that's what's fighting me right now, because I want to get in NNE, but I'm still not seeing the action that I need to see from the overall market here. We'll see what happens. SPY still doing the same thing, kind of hanging out here. AMD is a big name to watch if we continue on this up move on the Qs. I'm talking about it, man. This looks like it wants to run. It just keeps failing when the market fails. So it's more, does the market have the gas power to keep things going? All right.
It's
chart, man. Look at that rip out. Oh my god,
that's a good one. I don't think the market does have the juice. I hope, I'm always long, so I hope it does. Yeah. But we are so range bound.
It just keeps, it tries to go up and it fails, tries to go up and fails. Usually we try a longer term support in these cases, just to try to wash out some of the bulls, give the bulls some leverage again back in, get some shorts back in, right? I think they're opening that opportunity for it. Today could be that day. So I'm going to be careful here. As I opened and I made really good money, I don't want to push too much on the gas pedal right now, thinking that everything is going to keep bouncing back, right? So I've had a straight green day today. Don't want to ruin it right now. I want to be patient right now and look for the market to show me the moves right now versus me trying to guess a direction right now.
Right. Well, and just reminding, and this is why I'm reminding the chat too, is just we're range bound, right? So these are if you've got money today, good for you, right? Maybe, it's maybe lower your size, maybe trade around it, do all that kind of stuff, because this is one of those days where both sides are getting tested for sure. Both sides are getting tested. So we just need to see a resolution, but it may not happen, right? It may not occur there, where could just close the day right where we open it, right? Everyone might be waiting for
M's coming back. They're trying it. They're trying to get people excited about it, right? So Qs haven't put in that kind of candle.
It's the only thing we need. Whatever Goolsby is, but there's
the goose.
I'm waiting for that conspiracy theory guy of saying, hey, I thought J-Pow was quitting today.
If I was him, I'd get to that point, but
there you go. Yeah. No, I'd be like, listen, bud, okay, you do it. I'm moving. I'm going to another country. So you can mess it up if you want. I'm not going to be a participant either.
Yeah, that's how I would do it. I'd be like, if you want to fire me, go ahead, but not gonna just follow you because you say something.
Well, it's like what Jim Rogers moved to Singapore, and he's one of the greatest hedge fund investors of all time. Just said, things are getting a little too weird over here. I'm out. But I think he did that like 20 years ago.
All right. NNE trying to recover 30 here, guys. I might open up another swing trade here for NNE. Hims is looking well too. I just need to see the Qs make the move too, but hey, might open it up a little bit ahead of time here. We'll see what happens. Good short on INM. There you go, Steph. Let's make that money both ways. I'll make it up. You make it down. I won't be mad.
That's trading.
That's what it's about. So. That's trading, guys. That's trading. The more you realize that, the more you'll start to kind of jump on these moves also. Look at Hims now right back up there. So it was a good looking trade there, right? If you caught that 56, look where it's right back, right? 57, almost 58, almost right back towards the breakout.
So yeah, I just killed Palantir and CoreWeave. They're just bouncing. The SPY's bouncing here and go Palantir. Could be wrong. It's a great trade. Got really close to my target. CoreWeave is really bouncing though, so I got half of it off here, and now it's rallying. So could they hit VWAP and reverse? Absolutely, but those are some good trades, and I'm going to take my own advice because what we're seeing here on the SPY is just that we had break of the pre-market high, break of the pre-market low, and then we are within a couple ticks of the opening candle right here. Just one of those frustrate everybody except people who are trading more of a market maker style of. Right. Or again, you guys who trade crazy low flow penny stuff, they don't care about this market stuff.
Oh man, APLD looking great today.
Jay Powell only has a few months left. Is he? I didn't know that. When's his term over?
I think next year, something 2026 or something like that.
Yeah, I'd have a calendar in my office. I'd be ticking every day. Get me out of here. Just the moment I leave, I just want the economy to be in good shape. And then after it leaves, it's the next guy's problem. I would not be going. I don't know if he has to like be re-elected or appointed or whatever. I'd not be going for that. I'd be like, good luck, boys. Have a good one.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'd be counting down the days. That's just what it seems like. APLD just staying hot, man. I can't even get this thing on the pullback. So I'll just continue to watch it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, doing really well there.
So yeah, we're having that APLD is looking great. The SPY, I just wanted to show you guys here the daily chart. Just so inside this range, inside yesterday's range, and then just look at the candle so far. We are pretty much right at the opening price, and we have another little doji happening here. And as someone I love candlesticks because they just break down what you're seeing in the chart. A doji just represents indecision. It just means the market doesn't know which way to go. And when you see dojis specifically inside of tight ranges like this, they just tell you, the wide, this is essentially doji, this whole area right here. And now we are inside that range and inside this doji. So the market is just searching for answers. It doesn't really know. And this is what happens is digestion under the hood. So, you're seeing tech up a bit today, finance down a bit today, retail mixed, this Christmas tree look, as I like to call it, where we've got some up, we've got some down, which again, for us as traders is great. You can buy the stuff going up and you can sell the stuff that's going down. It means for the overall market, and especially for day trading, in which things are more influenced by the overall market, it's just going to be a choppy day. I go look at my portfolio here, and it's reflecting what we're seeing in the market.
Second swing trade on, guys. Long NNE, guys. NNE. I'll show you guys the position here. Long here. Gonna look for it to kind of hold the low on the day, which is 29.40s. I have a risk down to 29.18s, but really I'm just looking for it to hold the low of today now and start to get the move higher, right? So this is all about a 9 EMA pullback. So it's right there. You see the 9 EMA. I'm trying to get it back into the right direction, right? It's had a nice pullback, a good move. This is prior resistance area where we went into on Friday. And now I'm going to look for it to start going green candle back. Maybe it runs to 40 or something like that. So this could be a bigger run. And I'm actually going bigger size than this because I have more conviction in NNE than I have in RCAT, right? A company that I actually know about in a good space. We'll see if this can really make the run now. I also was thinking about this for a day trade today. So this could be that day trade style swing trade, right? But I'm looking for this now to run. I said, you know what? I'll go with the swing since I have a lot of money in the day trade account already today.
Yeah, and that would be something if that ends up working for you. That's fairly easy to systematize. I actually know a swing trader does just that. So I'm looking at an E here with your 9 EMA, and you just look, it's had what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lower highs, right? So the candles, right? And that's an easy thing for a computer to look for and say, I'm looking for, say, at least 3 of the highs to be consecutively lower, and then we're at a moving average. That's important. I know a trader uses the 10 SMA. It's going to be roughly the same in most cases, but that's it's a very simple kind of pullback strategy, and then you're just looking for some form of intraday action that gets you bullish on the stock, and then your risk is super tight if it does end up shooting up to those prior highs around mid 30s. That's a insane risk reward play, right? So all you need for that to happen is probably the cues to break out.
They're coming back. Let's see it. Let's see it. That's helping Palantir come back. Let's help in other stocks. Let's go looking around. Let's see if we can find one more trade to make on the day, guys. TEM is the best name I see out there, and this thing had pulled back fast on the daily. Some people were asking me, well, Mitch, is TEM done? I was like, no, I just think it's a reload here on the 50 EMA, and it looks exactly like that's what it is here, guys. This to me is more of a long-term stock that you got to watch for, like this 9 EMA weekly pullback. You see how it looks pretty there, even on the monthly, right? This looks like it's trying to break a monthly candle back towards the upside and maybe attempt to go back towards 90s on the long run. I continue to watch Tempest, and I think this is just a really nice setup, especially if you can start to hold kind of this to the left, like the 57 area. If you can hold the 57, so you're telling me I can risk about maybe $4 right now and could potentially make 29 on the upside. That doesn't seem bad when I'm thinking swing trade mentality, right? And so Tempest, really strong move today. Nice move higher. We'll see if it can continue making the move. The other health stock that I like today making the move now, a lot of traders watching this. We're talking all the market wizards. Grail. I saw it on like 3 or 4 of those guys that love this style of trade. Really nice setup here off the 40 break. Can it get to 45? That's the big watch for everyone. Everyone's watching that 45 mark. APLD continuing almost $10 now, man. Almost $10 on this APLD.
Yeah, that Grail is really, really big amongst those the William and Neil disciples. I know that's what you're talking about. Those guys love that kind of stuff. Again, I love that a strategy that for the long time just continues to work. You're looking, and for those who don't know, read How to Make Money in Stocks. Dude wrote that book ages ago. Kind of a cheesy title, but
Ethereum kicking off here, guys. We'll mention that. That's a nice thing to see. That could help the market, right? Some Bitcoin action to the upside here. Are we seeing that? Are you seeing that a little bit?
Yeah, it's trying, but it's so weird that we're seeing the divergence continue between crypto and traditional markets, and I just don't know what to make of it because it's just so new. It's but this happens all the time. You have a correlation, and then that correlation breaks. Yeah, there's Grail breaking out. So just to finish that again, if you haven't read How to Make Money in Stocks, do it. It's again William O'Neill and Investor Business Daily fame, one of the greatest traders out there, and it's just his loose framework on how he took breakouts, right? And I love the exercise with how he got to it. And all he did, and this is something that I think is a good exercise for everyone to do, is just looked at all of the greatest winners over the last 20, 30 years. I think at the time he went to a cabin or something with all the charts and all the data and just took a weekend and say, okay, what did back then, and it wouldn't have been the tech names, it would have been like Home Depot and Walmart and things like this, but what were the greatest movers? What did they look like before they got moving, or in the early stages of their uptrend? And then you have all these people, so Mitch is showing you Grail, that follow his same kind of teachings with this same idea. And the premise is pretty simple, right? You're looking for a nice tight base like you got right here. You're looking for something that is doing is growing earnings in a surprising way. And he has this can slim method, and each of the, it's an acronym. So each of those means something. And then you just kind of go through that list. But again, I love it. I love it, even though it's not something that I would trade or do trade. But anytime it's a methodology that's been proven and repeatable, that really, really helps out.
Yeah, that's a nice breakout today. I love the underwick through Friday's low, right? So you could use Friday's low, which is a 37.50s. I like the 38s. I would love to get back to 40 at some point today. If I can get back to 40, I will swing trade this. It's just like literally, I don't want to buy it too close to the high. I like to be able to risk on the intraday low action. Today's low was, at least on the intraday, which was 38. Yeah, 38.01. So, right, I'd like to put the risk below that, right? So it would have to wipe out the low on the intraday to get me out today. But I like this one. Looks pretty good here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Bill, I just wrote out the name of so you can just copy that name and paste it over. But yeah, How to Make Money in Stocks, which again is for such an iconic book. It's a shame. It was probably written before there were so many like grifters and fake people in the industry. It's just really cheesy. How to make, I don't know. I don't like the name of the book, but again, written like 100 years ago. So maybe you give the guy a break for that.
That's
and again, if you've ever read Investor's Business Daily, then you've gotten a bit of a help from him anyway.
All right.
LVWR.
All right, looking around.
So LVWR is kind of interesting again, this is a system I'm working on. I will do more. I will explain more when I can. I'm hearing these in my ear, but one thing that I'm doing is doing some day trading with my own money, because I can automate it. So this is going to be a system that's going to trigger a lot. Moving that around. Is going to trigger a lot, so I need to make sure that it's making sense. 405. So yeah, it's something that I need to go through and make sure that it's something that I can talk about with you guys, and it's not going to be too fast. But so far, there's, like, you can see all the trades. There's tons and tons of trades. I think my bot's taken like 40 trades today. So again, which is something we can talk about when we have a little more time. We can discuss that.
What's up with Etsy today, man? Holy moly!
Guess why?
Take a look at this bad boy.
Daily chart.
Is AI making things or something? Is that what this is?
Wow.
It looks like we have an AI Etsy breakout here or something, man, because that's a strong 4 or 5 days in Etsy. And then the biggest bar coming today, which shows you what? That they were willing to buy it no matter what, almost. So big, strong move there in Etsy. Ulta really holding on there. Looking in the SPY and find the leading names doing well today. Newmont still continuing. So gold stock doing really well. And then the energy plays, VST, CEG, but VST, nice breakout above the 163 to the 165. So great move there. I'll show you guys that one. That's VST. What you got there, Michael?
Oh, I just still dumbfounded by Etsy. Like
Yeah,
just
yeah, dude.
it's just such a like because this is the ETSY. This is why we're thinking it's so hilarious, right? This was one of those pandemic darlings
Yeah.
that went from nothing to $300 and then just completely fell apart, like a Peloton or Zoom or any of those. So to see it not only up today so much, which I think is impressive, but just these last 4 or 5 days of action with no. I was looking at earnings reports. I was trying to look whatever. There's no news, there's no nothing. So it makes me think it's people looking at this as maybe a tariff free play if they're tariffing everything from the outside world. Maybe I don't know.
No, I think they view this also as just also like so of course Etsy is like a lot of like user created items, right? But as
Yeah,
we
it's like
get
crafts
further,
and stuff like
yeah,
that.
like crafts. Let's put it like that, right? So as we get further and further away, one of the things that Etsy's been doing more of is like this like custom. I'll make you this thing for custom, right? Like you want like a custom pillow and you want to put a picture on it or something like
Yeah,
that. So I think maybe AI has something to do here playing with Etsy. We'll do some research. We'll come back to you guys tomorrow. But
that would make
I'll
sense. Yeah,
find
if
out.
you're like, hey, take this dog and put it on a pillow, you could very easily at home set up a right AI prints it to
AI,
one of those shirt
exactly,
printer things, and away it goes.
dude.
But
Yeah, and it could
yeah,
do the job by itself nowadays, and then you just having people just print them out, right, on things like that.
yeah,
So I think this is something to look into a little bit deeper. It's why I like Fiverr's breakout, but it's completely different. FVRR. This is one that I'm watching
mm,
for on Swing Alert. I might actually take the swing
oof,
today.
yeah,
But
another pandemic darling. This
yeah,
every
but
time
the
I see
key
these,
is
it just
change, right? So what's Fiverr's
yeah.
business? I think that's the important thing though here. So like Etsy, I kind of don't believe in, but Fiverr's model, I kind of do. Everyone wants cheap workers. The number one
I've
way to
used
get a
it.
cheap worker is to go and just find somebody that's out there in a country that can't
Mhm.
get paid half as much as I can pay him. And they do the job pretty well, man. I've had plenty of guys that I've learned from Fiverr.
I've
So
I've done it for some dev work in the past. I've done it for some website work in the past, and yeah, it's just you get someone who is specialized in like Squarespace, which is what I host my website on. He's
yeah, man.
way better designer than I am, so it's worth me giving a couple $100 to him to do it as opposed to taking my time and doing a worse job. So
It really isn't a
it all
bad
makes sense.
move here. I liked it right here too because then I can risk off the 31 here. So it did do the undercut and rally type of move
Mhm.
on the 9 EMA. What I want to see, right? And
Well,
this
and
is
you
the
like that
third touch.
positive earnings surprise, so they beat top end bottom line. And then, yeah,
Exactly.
these are one of those. So it's anytime you become you lose the darling status, right? This was a pandemic darling, and then the
Yeah.
pandemic goes, and you lose that. You're looking for the ones that don't go under, right? You're the ones who don't go. This is a very interesting chart because this thing has done nothing since 2022, just been
Hmm.
sideways. So this is, you go to, we're going through old school books, grab your Stan Weinstein stage analysis, right? This is potentially stage one accumulation, which it generally happens when you have value investors, right? They say $300 is stupid for this company. $30, that might make sense. So they pick a price, these value guys, and they're okay buying it in the 25s to 30s, and that's what creates these low bases. And then as they break out, that's when you get more momentum and technical traders and those type of people on board. So yeah, if it's gonna break out this time, then you've got a pretty good risk reward play. And that's one of those things that if it's gonna break, well, it's gonna break what, 35, 36, and next high is 50, and then through that there's really nothing to 80. Yeah, that becomes an interesting play if it breaks, right? The one thing you want to avoid is just getting trapped in this for years as it does nothing, because in my opinion that's almost as bad or as bad as just losing, because you could have done something else with the money.
Oh, this guy's trying to sell his gold bar from Costco. You made $1,000, guys, in a
There
year.
you go. Well,
That's not too bad. You got it for
better than-
2,300, sold it for
yeah.
33.
This gold is interesting. When I was doing my monthly charts
Gold is hot,
on the
man.
weekend,
Gold wants
it
to go,
was
man. Can it
it
go
was an
today?
inside month. So an inside month basically just means a weekly bull flag, and then daily, just the kind of longer term bull flag. GLD. Yeah, so just bull flagging, right? And up a little bit today with silver. So they call silver gold's crazy cousin.
Oh yeah.
So
It's
maybe
crazy,
it will
all right.
get going. I'm still in gold, so I can't do any more gold. I'm uncomfortable with the amount of gold I have already, just because it's up so much. So I can't buy any more gold. So now I'm just waiting for silver to hopefully maybe catch up. Knock on wood.
MSTR getting a little hotter there. That could be a little shift there.
Yeah, Bitcoin's holding. It's just been the fact that it's been down 3 or 4 days and the market's been flat. That's like the one kind of knock against the market that I have right now that I have to kind of think through my head is why is
Just
right,
seems
why
like
is
we want to
one
go
doing better
down.
than the other?
I want hood right here, guys. It's a really nice setup also right now. Hood set up perfectly on the 15, but just this market move, it just doesn't feel like it's hot right now for me. But I like this pullback on hood. It ripped to 68, right? If it gets back up to 68, I mean, great risk to return right here. You're risking maybe about 50 to, let's say, even $1, right? 50 cents to $1. That's still a move, $2 move higher, right? So if it gets through that 68, I mean, you're looking then better than a 2-to-1. So it doesn't look bad here. I think the key is the Qs just seem to me like they go up here, but they keep just leaking.
Well, this range bound action that we talked about, how hilarious would it be? Because we broke pre-market, or we broke today's high. So how hilarious would it be if we sold off and broke today's low? And then that's the fourth time that we've done that. Again, we're like always zoom out.
Ping pong.
Right, we are stuck in a range. We're stuck in Friday's range, and that's stuck inside this wider range. So until one of those things happens, just take your trades, right? Take your shot, take your money, move on, do what Steph's doing here, right? It's done. Hour into the day, done. Go take a walk. Look at all your screens on the close. We had a little bit of a crazy morning. We had a big rip up in the first 10 minutes, big tank down a little bit after that, and then a big rip back up again. Big being, in quotation marks, just because again we are inside this range, so we couldn't get it going. The question is, right, do we hold here a bit and then start to grind higher? We have nothing else in the way. I say that, but we do have one of these bond auctions that
1 o'clock,
is
right?
usually nothing. But yeah.
1
and
o'clock.
Then a Goolsby. Then we have a Goolsby. So maybe a Goolsby does good things. Fortunate name. Tomorrow we got some factory orders. We got Goolsby is back tomorrow, just in case you miss him today. You got a double. You got a double back-to-back Ghouls. Jeez.
Right.
Do they ever get tired of hearing themselves speak?
This is the best part of their week, man. This is where they get to flaunt the chest and say, "I'm the big bad Fed."
I'm one of the 8 million components of the big bad Fed.
They all think they're the big bad wolf.
Yeah, and some of them are not even voting members, and some are, and no way I'm.
Those are the ones that I really get blown away from. I'm like, so the guy that doesn't even vote, the guy that doesn't matter, is making the market move.
Yeah, like what does he do? Get the coffee for the guys who do vote? Why is what are you doing here? But yes, as we've been ranting at you all day, is that you have to just know the state of the market to know the animal spirits, for lack of a better term, right? If the market's ripping, then you can buy more breakouts and more momentum trades and things like that. If the market's tanking, you can do some more shorting. You could play aggressive bounces or something like that. When the market is range bound, you just need to understand that anytime you get a gain, you don't get too excited about it, because people who were short, like myself, had little tiny gains that we took, and then people that were long had little tiny gains that they took, and then it's the bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered in this market, right? So
You know it.
LYRA. Yeah, everyone was talking about that guy. LYRA. This thing.
Yeah, that
Lyrathis
thing was a
Therapeutics.
monster this morning, but it wasn't going anywhere. What ended up happening to it?
Nothing.
Oh, well, I'm glad I stopped watching it because I felt like it was going nowhere. But it's
Yeah,
a
it had a
huge
big-
range. It's a huge range, right? Perfect range bound stock to trade the range. The hourly,
Yeah.
I think, is the big thing here. Is that you see in the hourly, it's playing an hourly chart. I wouldn't even watch this on a shorter time frame.
Well, and then you have to contest with the spread as well, which that's only 30 cents right now. That's not too bad, to be honest. I expect it to be way worse. But yes, this is one of those where everyone is getting chopped up who's trying to like aggressively buy or sell it, for sure.
I&M,
Hasn't
we get hot again. I might take one more trade, guys, on it. I don't mind it here if it gets back through 6. So one of the things is
nice little
stocks love to
pullback.
do it. Yeah. Just look at the 15-minute chart, right? So it's right back to the support. And what did it do? It did big bars up, right? So then now you can start trying to draw kind of a trend line approach and be like, okay, can we start holding this area? I'll show you guys that right now. So
I
the key here, yeah, appreciate it. So you see down here, this is where the stock's getting bought, right? The stock's getting bought down here in this area where it broke out of, right? Where you saw this $5. This is the area where it gets bought. Every time it keeps getting hot, it's through 6. So now that you undercut 6, you can re-rally back through 6. There is this move back through 6. It's actually showing a little bit of that pullback here. Let's see if it gets to pop towards the 620s. That would be kind of more the move. Then you got to be careful here, right? I might just risk like a $10 or something like that to see what happens here if it really wants to make the move right back up. Let's see if it starts to go. Don't want to be early. Want to be late. That's the key here. I think if you're early here, it's unless you're like trying to open a new position. For me, I'm trying to be a little late. I want it to show me, but you see the reaction, right? You see it right there. It just comes as soon as it gets to 6. It's like a reversal, right? And so now I want to see it when it comes back to 6. What happens there, right? Is it a quick wash to 580 or a blast to 620s? So boom, let's see it. Let's see it. Let's see it. I'm gonna put it big for us so that we can watch it. This has not been a bad stock. So my approach would be that it comes back to this trend line, right? Doesn't need to break out to 850, but back to like 730 or 750s. That's good money.
Yeah, percentage basis, that's huge. I mean, that's where you got to look at these stocks, is on that percentage basis, because then you're knowing the amount of money you have to put up versus the amount of money that you end up getting, and it can be a big deal.
Yeah. And it wicked there for a second there to 640s, right? So not a bad little move already, right?
It's I've seen it do a couple of those, right? Those are scary to an old guy like me, but you can, if you're quick, you can get that just generally means that you've got one of these food type guys, right? He told his audience, you get that big spike
100%.
up, and then he's hitting the market out order.
He bought at 6. He bought 20,000 shares at 6. He talked about it. People were buying it at 610, 620, 630. He would bought more probably in the 620s, sold 640. Here you go. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, he goes, there you go. And then he pulls his account window into the screen, goes, oh, look at all this money I made. Didn't you guys do too? And then it falls apart, right? That's why.
No, he's still in with 2,000 shares, but he bought and sold 20,000 in between there.
So regardless of what happens, he can go back and say, yeah, look at all the money that I made. But
yeah, the key is you'll see the realized move really quickly. watch for not just gurus and furus that show you the unrealized. A lot of them will show you the unrealized. Watch if they're showing you realized, and when do they show you the realized? Do they show you it while they're doing the trade? Because this can help you decipher if they're trading with an algorithm, which is what I think a lot of the gurus and furus trade. So essentially, they're doing manual inputs with a system behind them.
Yeah, it's mirrored accounts. So like, there's a famous guy. Yeah,
see if
there
it
it
washes
goes.
the 580s or comes back through the VWAP. That's the real move where it gets hot. So we'll see right here. It taps 6, right? Let's see what happens on the move back. What is also that 6? It's right for the 9 EMA attempt, right? So this is where you reverse the momentum.
Yeah.
Now you're testing the momentum, and now you look to see if you blast off with momentum, right? That's the style of strategy to play this.
Yeah, so the realized, unrealized, I know for certain, I won't say any names, but people out there who I know for 100% certain, and they just have mirrored accounts, and it's very easy to do. There's nothing. They have copy accounts, so they hit the button to buy, and what happens in the background is there's 10 more accounts, or at least one large account in some cases that buys with them. And then they hit sell, and the account sells with them. So they're showing, a small amount of move when what's happening to the big move. And same as, anyone who does the I turned $1,000 into $1 million. Well, what they did is they started with 100 different $1,000 accounts, and then showed you the one that succeeded, not the other 99 that failed, right? And yeah, there's all these little games that get played for sure.
100%. Well, looking around out there, see what's going on. Market just hanging out up here. It's just on the hangout. It looks like the small caps are moving around. That's why I'm jumping on them. We'll see what happens. This one's holding on.
I think that's actually bullish. The fact that we came back up to the prior or today's high, and we didn't sell off like we did last time. We're kind of chopping around. That's interesting to me. The fact that we're getting into this kind of noon time and we haven't broken yesterday's high makes me worried that we won't for the day. So that's something that we have to pay attention to as well, right? Again, we are inside action until we can get some outside action. So question in the chat here, what strategy do you guys trade? Breakouts or trend lines? So me and Mitch are completely different in the way we trade. Mitch is more of a by the feel type of trader. He's looking more at, a current price action and things like that. I'm a systematic trader, so I have systems that I've tested, and I just do exactly what they told me to do. I don't think really any of us are traditional kind of breakout or trend line traders, which is we may use these areas of support and resistance to kind of help guide us based off what we're normally doing.
Yeah, it's part of our technical understanding, but that doesn't mean that we have to trade off of it, right? A lot of times we're using our technical analysis skills to just give us descriptions of what's going on in the price action. Of course, systems are the way that Michael trades, but he's also watching his technicals to kind of just give him the feel also of what's going on here, right? That's where I think a lot of real technical traders really get to. They don't get to a point where they're like, this one little thing is why I buy, and this one little line is where I buy, and this one little line is where I sell. That just doesn't work a lot of the time, guys. I wish it was that easy. Like I could just give you 100%, this book will get you to profit, but there is none. There's no book like that, guys. There's not a single book in the world that can just get you to profit.
Yeah, most systems, all of my systems and most systems are a combination of a bunch of factors, right? Price, volume, a couple indicators, whatever it ends up being. But yeah, I don't have a single system that is a single thing. It's looking for kind of a myriad of things to happen in sequence and in check.
Yeah, it gets more complex, right? Because it can't be that simple. It can't just be just buy the high of the day and make money, right? Like that just doesn't work, guys. I wish it did, but that's what you'll see a lot. Like the gurus, like I don't care. Ross, you can come after me. I've been in your chat. He puts a lot of emphasis on high of the day breakouts. high of the day breakouts are really great strategies for scalping, but you need to be able to look really deep into the order book, understand dark pulling action, and realize that you're playing the fastest trade in Wall Street. Literally the
Well,
fastest trade in Wall Street. So,
and even with him, and you could do a whole rant on him and how he got away so cheap. He only had to pay $3 million to the SEC to forget and found out for not being legit.
real.
But he's still narrowing down his stocks to a very specific universe. So you could even look at something like that as an algorithm of, first, I need, the stock to have done X amount of volume in the pre-market, have X amount of gap, something that people care about, and then look for this individual setup. And that's mainly how most systems work. It's first this, then that kind of thing. So
long, baby, long. Let's go, guys. You guys see it right there. 603 got long right there. Risk already set. This is a different type of trade. I'm in the green. I'm only going to take it to try to pad my green today, right? Like if it rips out, I've already caught it, 2-3 times. So this would be the bigger breakout. And I don't mind playing it with 50 shares, which the first trade was 200 shares. The second trade was 100 shares. This trade, 50. You see how I went down there, right? Risked off, essentially looking for bigger returns on it, but also willing to get out, right? So if I take a $9 hit here, I've made plenty. I made over 100 on this name today. So I don't want to push it today. Just want to give it the chance to go for the 6th breakout. And right there, boom, I show my hand. They bring it right back to the support. They wash me out. But I also don't want to get in. I don't want to be in there through that 580 washout, because that next move could easily go right to 5. Right. And
it could,
keep that in mind.
We started the conversation with that Lira chart, right? So this is why I think a number of trades, giving yourself a number of trades on a symbol helps as well, because this Lira, it looks better now. It looks like it could be maybe breaking out here for sure.
Yeah.
It's one of those things in which you never know if it's going to, right? And a lot of people probably have gotten chopped up by taking little tiny hits on this name. The fact that it hasn't really gone anywhere since that opening drive. So, that's why I like what Mitch said. He's like, hey, I'm going to take it one more shot, but I'm going to take it really, really small, because it could just be, it could not break out and it could not break down. It could be everyone goes, okay, this is the new fair price for this company, and it's just going to hang out here for the rest of the day, or maybe even a couple days. So.
Yeah, and what I liked is I did it like that, right? I could have bought that first pop, right? And you could have got maybe that 40-cent pop. But the idea was for those to get to washed, and then it rebuys here. And then all of a sudden it's back to 670, right? And all those guys that sold out on this first move, they get really frustrated, right? This is more of a psychology trade too. That's where I think I've adjusted a lot. And that's where I think I just need to find ways to systemize also the psychological approaches in these strategies, right? Because that's the hard part, right? So the hardest part really is that how do you systemize the psychology side of these moves, right? Like right there, that was very psychological of why I wanted to get back in, right? And I think that these are the types of moves that I think we really need to look for more and more. Those liquidity moves, understanding that happens, being patient and waiting for that move instead of getting in prior. Because if you front run, a lot of times you get a liquidity move right in front of your move. And then next thing you know, you stopped out and the move's higher. So these are things where it needs to be more about patience and trying to understand that to gain kind of more knowledge into the system. To build it up. We'll see what happens out there, guys. Market's just on pause. I'm sorry. I didn't hit the pause button. Neither did Michael. We would love for the market to have moved, but the market moved out the gates, created a range, and has just stuck in the middle. But above
so now we're in a wide range on the daily chart, and now we're inside yesterday's range. So I can go through, right? So now this is the range on the daily chart, and then we're inside yesterday's range, which I can just mark out, right? This yesterday's high right here. By yesterday, obviously, I mean Friday low right there. And then now we're inside today's range. So this is one of those where it's always good to talk about strategy, to do things like that. You know, if you're someone here who's, especially on bigger cap stocks and things like that, if you're attempting to take a lot of trades, it's probably not the time for it. It's probably the time to, you know, put out a trade, put out a wide stop, and then bet that this range is going to resolve kind of in your favor. And in the meantime, spend time developing new strategies, talking about how to systematize things that you're doing. Again, it's an exercise that I do at the end of every day, and I think everyone should. You sit for 2 minutes and you kind of just make some notes of what didn't I need to be here for. Again, that doesn't mean if you come up with a lot of things, it doesn't mean that you just go to the pub or do something like that. It means that, okay, if I can eliminate a bunch of things that I didn't need to necessarily do myself, well, that allows me to do more and different things, right? You know, could you simply have put, say at this point, put an alert out on the top or bottom of the range and then done something else, right? Been working on new strategies or reading a book or watching a podcast or something to kind of increase your knowledge, and then waiting for that next move to happen, right? The actual active trading should be, you know, a couple hours at most, and then the rest of it could be setting orders or alerts or going through charts or doing all kinds of things that will make you a better trader in the long run, even if it's not like hitting the button in the short run.
All right, guys, we'll keep battling out there. We'll see what happens. 10:59. We're getting out of here. And of course, catch us tomorrow. I'll be on Trader TV at 8:45, and we'll be live here at 9 a.m. Eastern. Be back with Steve, and we'll be watching to see what happens today. Him's best trade of the day. INM also really good trade, and I'll just keep battling along into the green with the day trade account and really pushing back. And I think one of the biggest things has just been not trying to get too much, especially in this market. If we can continue being green right now and just riding that trend with the market being green, let's do the same, right? We'll see if the Qs actually break out here in the afternoon. A lot of times we're getting afternoon style trades. For a while there, we started to get some opening moves, but looks like, who knows, maybe we'll get an afternoon trade here today. Like always, keep up with Michael. You guys see his tag right there, and definitely keep up with everything that Stats Edge does, and check out the podcast my man does. You guys see the shirt. Bam, bam, bam. Line your pockets, baby. Line your own pockets. Check him out. Check out the podcast. Really good podcast also for like the weekend, right? More something just to kind of hang out, listen to. Like always, giving you guys back the value. We'll see you guys back like always right here on Trade the Pool. Keep battling out there. Don't go anywhere. There's always more for you guys out on the Discord side of things. Hit the like. We'll see you back next time.